What is up, everyone? Welcome to another episode of AWA's Trash Pandas, where we are always on time, no matter what.
Yeah, punctuality is key for us here, and hopefully you can even hear me right now. That's the
that's the reason for our tardiness.
Yes,
with emphasis on a certain part of that word.
A certain part of it.
Yeah,
the nest part.
Yeah. Actually, let us know how the audio is. Yes,
first of all, if anyone can, I'm going to turn it on straight. Actually, I'm just going to look at it real quick, listen to it real quick live, just to see if anything's going on.
Nice. That would be great. Welcome, Big Ron. The judge is in the house.
Oh, the judge is here. You can turn me down just slightly, actually. You were right.
Okay. I wasn't sure.
On time as always. Yes, Big Ron. Thank you for noticing. It's much appreciated. There's been a ton of rules that we've gotten to see over the past week, right?
There's been a lot. There's been a lot of information, and the audio's good. Awesome, thank you. By the way, I would just like to apologize first of all. Streamlabs sucks. I didn't know. I guess some people were commenting on Carson's mic or something like that. It was not his fault. It is 100% on Streamlabs and some kind of interaction that I still do not understand, having spent even hours at it. Apologies to Carson and everyone else for dealing with the audio. That's why.
Well, apparently it didn't matter at all because Matthew just became a subscriber for 4 months straight.
4 months straight? Damn, dude! Thank you so much.
He's fine with it. So actually, let's go back to the.
The weird audio. Yeah.
Did you hear some rumblings?
Oh,
in the meat dimension?
In the meat dimension? Sure perhaps.
Be, but it's margarita time in the meat dimension again. Oh my god. Yes. Yeah. I mean, heck yeah.
Heck yeah. That's what it sounded like to me. I'm pretty sure you just repeated
like
the heck yeah twice in a row.
Tonight we're drinking chili mango margaritas.
Ludivicus, I am always having a bad hair day. Actually, here. Let me...
I don't know why it's not a problem for me. Rob having a bad hair day is always a problem for me. Which means, because anytime he has a bad hair day on stream, it doesn't mean I can Photoshop his hair onto my head.
Not a problem for Carson. I'm not even sure what that means, but I love it. Yeah, I'm actually always having a bad hair day, but I'm wearing the.
I don't think you are always having a bad hair day. If I'm being honest, you as one of my friends have some of the you have the nicest hair probably out of all of my friends.
Dang it. It was a headband. Thank you very much. I actually I'm weirdly self-conscious about it. I was made fun of a lot in junior high specifically for my hair.
Because it was red?
No, well, my beard is red. My head hair, I don't know what to call it, is mostly like a dark brown with some bits of red and different things in there. But it's really wavy and stuff like that. And when I was that age, the style at the time was called an undercut, right? And so anyway, it was quite long, and it would just kind of anyway. All that to say, I was made fun of, and I'm weirdly self-conscious about it. But soon I will be in the aerodynamic department as you, because I overheat very easily, and once it starts getting hot, I'm going to be going for the built-in air conditioning.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Also, I will clarify and say that. You do have the best hair out of all my friends, but I only talk to bald people other than you. So.
Yeah, that's true. So that might not even be true, to be honest, because if they're most of them shave their head. I don't know anyone other than my father-in-law that doesn't when they're bald doesn't just shave their head, right?
Yeah, I know a couple people.
Oh, really?
I remember actually my brother was like that for a little bit, and I was like, just shave.
Just do it, man.
Just do it. And then it started happening to me, and I was like, I can't look like the person who doesn't do it.
You can't be a hypocrite now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I hope my wife is okay if I tell this story, but my father-in-law shaved his head when he became bald, and then she made fun of him So he went back to the comb over, and I'm just like, what? In what universe is that the better option? But I don't know,
Yep.
Anyway.
I guess we should probably talk about Warhammer.
Nope. More important news than that, Akuma comes out for Street Fighter 6 tonight. I mean, it's true, but that's, yeah.
Oh my god.
T-minus 50 minutes he comes out, and then there'll be, the servers will be down and whatnot. But I'm actually legitimately really excited for that. He looks amazing. But now for actual Age of Sigmar content, I suppose, did you get a chance to check out the rumor engine?
I did have a chance to look at it. I don't really know what this could be. It's one of those where it's super generic.
Yeah, it's so generic.
But I have a weird compliment, which is that if you look at the flame, I really like what they did with the kind of top middle bit of it.
Totally. I knew exactly what you were going to say.
Splitting apart. That's fantastic. It looks awesome. So
I couldn't agree more.
Whoever made this sculpt looks really good.
I'm going to guess it's like a hero or something for cities. I know it's early, for them to get another thing, but they'll get a hero or something, I think, for their release.
Yeah.
I think it's definitely Age of Sigmar.
Yeah. Oh no, I think it's Age of Sigmar too, for sure. And I think I agree with you. It's definitely something like Order. It definitely fits the aesthetic of Cities of Sigmar. It's just kind of gothic almost, a little bit more dark looking. So I agree. Cities of Sigmar is a safe bet for sure.
That would... Ooh. Beefy says it's a new corpse cart. Sorry, I was reading a couple other comments while I did that.
Interesting.
That would be cool, actually. I mean,
This makes sense. The current corpse cart does have things on it, the torches on it, right? Let me just take a look at it.
I think so. I've got one new on sprue that I never put together because I was just the thing is though, and maybe I haven't built it. I haven't held it in my hands and painted it, but to my memory, the current corpse cart looks really cool. But I don't know. Apparently, I left a window open.
I just sent you a picture of the corpse cart if you want to pull it up. I actually think I'm on Beefy's side now after looking at this. This is very...
No, as soon as he said it. Oh, did you send that to me?
I did send it to you.
Cool. Okay. It went ding in my ear, and I was going, oh, right. That's why. I usually turn it off, so it's not quite so distracting, but that's it. Did anyone else hear the notification? Because if you did, then I'll... Oh, wow. Yeah, just leave it on, Maybe. I don't know, the only thing... I think this corpse cart is really awesome, but it is old. So if they do a new one, then... Yep. If they do a new one.
Yep. No, I think it could definitely use a resculpt.
Oh, sorry, guys. Sure. I forgot to put it on the stream. I was just looking at it for my own private amusement.
You guys don't get to see.
You guys don't. Screw you guys. Yeah. Yeah. What's interesting about this too is that the flames are going forward on the current sculpt. Usually they're going back as if it's moving forward, but this is almost like there's, a wind blowing behind it, like a fell wind or something. I don't know. Yeah.
That's true.
It's another Fire Slayer's foot hero. I think I'm on Alex's side now, actually. They're due for another foot hero.
Yeah, honestly, I think they could use 3 or 4 more, probably. I think they should have enough foot heroes to be able to assemble one full 10-man squad. And then finally it'll loop back around and they'll say, oh, it was just a different sculpt for each guy in the unit. That's what this was the whole time.
The whole time. Well, you idiots didn't know it. We made rules that were just a temporary measure, Imagine that, though. Imagine having a unit of 10 individual heroes. The amount of, sculpt it would be going on in that would be pretty cool, actually.
It would be pretty cool. But also, I feel for Fire Slayers.
Yeah, that's true.
That is not what's happening.
I don't feel bad for them. They don't have souls. I mean...
Yeah, that's true.
You only know one Fire Slayers player, and it's Alex.
He definitely doesn't have a soul.
No, there's no way.
Definitely not.
Exactly.
100%.
Right, Alex? Anyway, moving right along. He used to. He sold it to me for $10. So Yeah. Moving right along. So I'm gonna kind of go in order of like what I think of as like interest, to a certain extent.
Okay.
So, well, kind of. What I think is everyone's interest, because the Slaves of Darkness just don't apply to everyone, but they're coming out next week, right?
Yeah.
But honestly, though, I was thinking about it while I was setting up the stream. I looked at Abraxia one more time. I think she's the coolest Slaves to Darkness sculpt ever made. Like, I can't think of something cooler.
I don't know. Yeah,
Name something cooler.
Pretty amazing.
Like
my go-to is always the Chaos Lord on Karkadrak, but she's basically that times 2.
yeah, she's just like a souped up version of him,
Yeah. So I think I have to agree with you. Yes, she is the best, and that's why it was very difficult for me not to pre-order her.
That's wild to me. Yeah, I would have just been like, take my money. She'll be good eventually. At some point, she'll be good.
But the problem is that like I already have at least 5 kits of Slaves to Darkness that I haven't even taken off the plastic.
is one of those the Ogroid guys?
Yes. Yeah, the Ogroid Theridons, the what's it called? Bellacore. I haven't even taken out of the plastic wrap. I
did
got an entire Vanguard box.
Oh wait, is Bellacore a Slaves to Darkness sculpt?
I mean, I guess technically he's 40k too, right?
Yeah, but like if he's in Slaves to Darkness, it's him 150%. That is one.
He is in Slaves to Darkness.
That's okay. Yeah. Then him, 100%. That one model of the year, and for good reason. Like, I was almost tempted to vote for that over Croak, and Croak is no, I think it's the new the new Claw Lord. I think is my new favorite sculpt they've ever made.
It is pretty awesome.
It's pretty sweet.
Also, Alex said she makes me want to buy Slaves to Darkness.
Yeah, she's that good.
Yeah, so the reason why I got into Slaves to Darkness is because I saw the new Knights and Warriors and Chosen, and I was like, this is sick. Like, this is the best. This is my favorite thing. I remember when I was a kid looking at like the chunky Chaos Warriors, and they've made that except like even more detail and even better. I have to buy this army.
Yeah, and
I did, and it is the most boring army I've ever played.
But we're going into a new edition, though.
I know, but I just like, Slaves to Darkness is. It was such like a blue ball where like I bought the army and I was just like, these guys are going to be awesome. I'm loving painting them. Yeah. And then I played them and I was like, oh, they just have like decent war scrolls and they march up the table and hope that no one could do anything about it. Like, it was like a total letdown as far as rules go. So I hope that they're better. What I hope for is that I don't buy Abraxia and I regret it.
Yeah.
That's what I hope for.
The only problem though is you wait, don't you want Varangard?
Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, like, I'm paying. It's going to be like close to $200, and then it's probably going to sit like in a cubby for 2 years.
That's true. I don't know.
I have a feeling I'm going to be able to find the box in the time frame that 4th is coming out.
You're very lucky that way,
Yeah.
But the other thing too, though, Carson, is like your Slaves to Darkness, the models, how you painted them, and like the story you made behind them. It's like it is your finest work. I'm a huge fan of your ogres. I'm not trying to take away anything from your ogres, but your whole thing that you made for your Slaves of Darkness is one of like the coolest things I've ever seen. And so I
appreciate that very much.
I wish you would.
Everyone who's watching right now, you're never gonna see them.
You're never gonna. Actually, ever. You already saw them.
No.
Oh no, that was only on Patreon, wasn't it?
No, it was released to everyone.
Okay.
The Saga of Glory one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was.
Oh, that's right. That's right.
I think I had like Chosen and Knights in that one. I didn't have any Warriors or anything like that.
They're so
that's
rad.
Also what I have painted.
So
yeah, this is coming out. Looks super cool.
It does.
Assuming it's the last Dawnbringers book, it'd be kind of weird if they kept releasing them into 4th. But
right.
What do you think?
I can't imagine that being the case. Especially when it's like, it's just going to get such a terrible reaction and no one's going to buy them. Because it's going to be like, okay, well, why didn't you just give us a book, like a codex? You know what I mean? An army book. Like, why are you giving this to us now? Like, a narrative campaign, totally separate. But Dawnbringers is like, which is partially like a narrative story. But the whole idea is it's leading into this new edition. So, yeah.
Yeah. This book is going to be out for maybe a month before all the rules in it become obsolete.
Less than a month, probably.
Yeah, exactly. So that's not great. Also, I do want to make it clear, I am going to buy the
yes,
Nexus Chaotica.
I just wanted to show Abraxia again. But I was scrolling down to show that. Yeah, if you're even mildly interested in the army, grab the terrain now. Like, that's my advice. Because, like, it's the first thing that goes out of stock. You know, they get... Unless they've changed things. But if they've changed things, then oh well. Like, you probably won't regret it, to be honest. Yeah.
Yeah, I am going to buy it for the reason you just mentioned there. And also because it's like... It's not like it would change your list building at all. Like a faction terrain feature traditionally has always been just free, something you get in addition. So it's like, of course, I would want that.
That's true. It's not like you're getting rid of your army. You're just kind of waiting for them to have rules that are not totally boring.
Yeah, I want to paint models that look awesome, but I also have a hard time finding motivation painting something that I know I'm not really going to use anytime soon.
Yeah, I totally get that. I, had the same thing for ages with. I've got 2 Hell Pit Abominations, and luckily they do look a lot better now. One of the main things that was holding them back, I built this guy just for fun. I just wanted to build and paint a Hell Pit Abomination, but the 2d6 move, like that alone has held that model back since AOS 1. So yeah.
Hey, I mean it's D6 plus 5 now.
It's D6 plus 5 now, and which we'll get into, but that is I mean, like, he's been sitting here, like he actually has dust on him now. Yeah, I built him a long time ago, but then it was just like other things that needed to be done. I've been working on my Warbringer again lately. He's kind of starting to come along a little bit, but
very cool.
Yeah. And then I also put this guy together ages ago, the Claw Lord that came out at the end of like 8th edition Warhammer Fantasy, but I glued him onto a 25mm square to use him in like the old world. But I'm just like, I'm not gonna play that. You know what I mean? I probably will want another Claw Lord, And then there's the old like Blood Island of Blood one. Anyway, I'm getting off into the weeds here. I apologize. There's so much more to cover. But Abraxia is awesome, and like I hope you regret him too. I hope you regret not getting her too, or I hope you just like win that kit or something at an event, because I want you to paint her very badly.
Yeah, that's the goal. Just win the things that I don't want to buy.
Yeah, exactly. What up, Robin? Thanks for joining us. Mutalith Vortex Beast. That's another cool one, actually. I do like that one. It's a little more dated, but it is very cool. Okay, so this one is actually from today. So we're not going, oldest to newest. This is the Stormcast rules that we saw today. I only got a chance to like quickly go through it because I had a lot going on today, but what did you think, like, overall?
I thought it was pretty interesting. One funny thing that was confirmed was so a while back they said that each faction is going to get 4 battle traits, and then it was previewed that Stormcast had the like whole deep strike thing that they've always had.
Yeah.
But our friend Eric was just like, so every faction gets 4 battle traits, and 2 of Stormcast are pick them up and put them down.
Yep.
And I was like, great. No, that's not going to be the case. It can't be.
Yeah.
And here we are.
Here we are.
Definitely the case.
It is. But like consolation prize is they're going to have them for all of like 2 months.
Yeah. And I think that, so spoilers, Mystic Shield's changed.
Right.
Finest Hour is no longer available to anyone else except Stormcast.
And that one's like the best thing of all time.
It's really good.
Yeah.
So I think that they've truly, and again, this is with the context of what we have so far, but it does seem like Stormcast is the tanky faction right now.
It really does, yeah.
Where they're the ones that are able to save stack a little bit better. They have better saves just by default. So that's pretty interesting. And yeah, I liked what I saw so far. That's kind of the high level view, but we can kind of go deeper into it if you want.
So we should probably mention that like stuff like or the Mystic Shield has been changed to a 6-up ward only for your turn. And the reason why I thought to mention that is because, you know, like, how is that going to interact with other factions' general rules? Like, if you're a death faction, Deathless Minions becomes obsolete. It's kind of like Mystic Shield before on Night Haunt. Only now Night Haunt ostensibly is going to... Or actually, I guess they're going to have a 6-up ward too, probably. So that's kind of a...
We don't know that.
That's true.
Actually, it's tough to say if that ward is going to stay or go away. I've heard people say in the past that it is going to go away. And I've actually argued that it probably will stay. But it's...
But then, like, what do they... Like, what do they get instead? You know?
I don't know. I'm not sure. Maybe something better? Who knows? Also, Beefy says, so 24 faction focuses. 1 a day leads to June 22nd. Thoughts? Ooh. That's kind of interesting.
1 a day? You mean 5 days a week, I assume?
Yeah, business days, for sure.
Really?
June 22nd. Interesting.
Really? So are they doing 1 a day? Have they said that? Or this was just what
they're doing 4 this week.
They're doing 4 this week?
Yeah. Or at least that's what it's... So they showed like 4 faction battle tome.
Does that include Stormcast?
Yeah, it was Stormcast, Skaven, Night Haunt, and Gloomspite kits.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I didn't realize that little picture was like some kind of officially kind of statement.
I don't think it necessarily was, but I think, like, why else would they show those specific 4, right?
Well,
and it makes sense because they have 1 of each Grand Alliance.
They do. But that's what I thought that they were doing, was just like kind of showing that. But then if it's 4 a week, or maybe it's 4 this week and then we start doing 5 a week, because otherwise, yeah. Or
that's what he means.
That would make sense. Yeah, I guess that would make sense, because like then you're getting it perfectly leads up to that Saturday where you're going to be pre-ordering, ostensibly. Yeah, what we're guessing.
And like, what else are they going to show us?
Yeah, that's true.
Because they've showed us, like, basically we kind of know all of the core rules for 4th now. Like, there's a little bit of stuff missing. There's a little bit of gaps to be filled, but we know most of the stuff that we kind of need to know. We've even seen that big, like, quick reference guide that was leaked. So it goes through, like, phase by phase, like, all the things you can do, all the commands you can use.
Right.
We even know all except for 3 of the battle tactics, and those 3 are only Grand Alliance specific ones.
Right. So I guess so then that would mean that we're getting the boxes coming out on the 6th of July. If that's sort of what we're thinking. Which is like a week off what we guessed.
I could see that.
Right.
Yeah. 2-week pre-order window, yeah.
Oh, wait, maybe that is what we guessed.
I think I don't know. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
There's records of it all over the place, but
we might have looked at the wrong calendar.
Right. Do we want to take a look at the battle traits for the
I think we did, because I think we said July the 1st, but June the 1st is a Saturday, whereas July it's the 29th, or sorry, it's the 6th is the 1st. So that, I think we were right in our thinking, but wrong in what we said. Absolutely. I'll scroll down now. So I'll go I went right down to battle traits. Would you mind reading that out? I'm going to make sure I didn't.
Stormcast Eternals armies can use the following ability. There's 4 of them. So the first one is in the deployment phase. You declare if there are more friendly Stormcast Eternal units on the battlefield than there are set up in reserve. Pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals unit that has not been deployed. Effect, set that unit in reserve in the Celestial Realm. It is now being deployed. So the interesting thing here is that I think that means that you can't say this one's starting in the sky and that's your first choice for a drop. I think you have to start with something on the battlefield before you can actually use this. Yeah. So you kind of have to show some cards first. And I kind of like that, because that's a frustration some people have where, like, if they're a 2-drop army, one of their drops is like 0 information because it's up in the sky or like it's deep striking in some way. So I like that. Then it has the keyword deploy. So just a little bit more keyword bingo there. I'm assuming it'll interact with some stuff. Then we've got Scions of the Storm, which is in your movement phase. Declare, pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals unit that is in the Celestial Realm. Set up that unit anywhere on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So it's effectively the same as it is now. And then we have once per battle, your movement phase for 1 CP. Heaven Sent. Declare, pick a friendly non-unique Stormcast Eternals infantry or cavalry unit that started the battle with 2 or more models and that has been destroyed to be the target. Effect, set up a replacement unit with half the number of models from that target unit rounding up, more than 9 inches from all enemy units. So you basically get a unit back, which I think is a better version of something that already exists in Stormcast. If I'm not mistaken, you can bring back like Vindictors or something like that, right? Is that correct?
I think it's like, yeah, it's like Liberators, Sequitors right now, obviously, and like those kinds, specific kinds of units. And yeah, so this is just being infantry or cavalry. Like, Fulminators, yeah. Anyone? Like,
yep. Bring back 1 out of 2 or 2 out of 4 Fulminators. The interesting thing is that it just says pick a unit that has been destroyed. It's not immediately after it happens, whereas the current Stormcast ability, I believe, is immediately after it happens. You just like pick them up and put them down somewhere else.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a better call for aid, is what Alex said in the chat. Thank you. So that's quite good, I would say. Like, introducing a little bit of recursion to a very tanky army is pretty cool. And recursion to units that might be really good, right?
Well, also, it doesn't say that it can't be reinforced.
Yeah.
So
you could... You're basically just trading a reinforced unit for a regular unit.
Yeah.
If you pick them back up.
And like with cavalry being the case, like what do you call it? Like the dragons or fulminators or something like that. Like I'm assuming fulminators and like those units are not going to be super strong in this year because they were quite strong in the last edition and their whole rotation thing. But I, you know, the dragons were fine once they kind of pre-nerfed them or whatever. So I wouldn't be surprised if they're like a really good unit. Yeah. But no, I think this is really cool. You know, I think a lot of armies would kill for this, you know.
100%. And then as we alluded to before, you have a once per turn army-wide in your hero phase. Declare, you can pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals unit that has not used this ability this battle to use this ability. And the effect is for the rest of the turn, add 1 to wound rolls for that unit's combat attacks and add 1 to save rolls for that unit. So this is effectively what they've done is they've taken Finest Hour and they've basically said that any Stormcast Eternals unit can use it. And it doesn't... So it's just until the end of the turn.
Yeah.
And it's your hero phase.
Yeah.
You can't do it in your opponent's turn, so you can't like run an anvil into your opponent and then say, oh, they're Finest Houred and they're a super anvil in your opponent's turn now. Like, it has to be on the offensive. So that's one interesting change. So what are your thoughts on that?
Well, so just to be clear, currently Finest Hour only lasts for a turn, but you could pick it in either person's start of the hero phase. No, I think it's really good. I actually wish I would love it if this were like a general one and they gave Stormcast something else. But you know. And hopefully that other thing wouldn't be the exploding thing, because that is the biggest waste of time thing they probably ever made. But I mean, it's really cool. I think it's awesome. But one more thing though too is that I wanted to point out that because Call for Aid was only once per game, and the Heaven Sent thing, it's just, you know.
I mean, no, this is once per battle as well.
Oh, did I miss that? God dang it. Oh, it says up and up above. I'm sorry. Okay.
That's okay.
Then oh man, and that's that's one of their allegiance abilities. That's kind of rough. But
it is a little rough. I think I saw Kenrick say in the chat though that like Stormcast is kind of like it's the chilling army. Like,
that's true.
A lot of people are going to be entering the hobby playing Stormcast. Like,
that's
probably shouldn't be particularly crazy complicated to play.
Yeah, that's a great point.
And so maybe it's not the worst thing that this is the case, where it's like you have 1 once per battle ability, you have 1 once per turn ability, and then you have your deployment phase thing, like the deep strike stuff. So.
Right. Yeah, and what's funny too is like, I think because they did show these rules before, right?
And they showed. I don't know if they saw. I think we've seen Heaven Sent somewhere.
I think so.
Yeah, I think we have seen them.
I think
in
we've seen
separate
them all,
places.
yeah. But they were like listed individually. And I checked for them, and I checked to see if it was once per battle. And I noted last time that it was once per battle. And then this time I was like, I don't see it anywhere on there. Like, that's really crazy. Like, that's crazy powerful. Like, for 1 CP, I was like, that seems like a lot. I was like, you might have to like change it to 2 CP or something at some point. But I was like, oh, once per battle, then that's like, honestly, I think they should have just not made it a CP. If it's once per battle.
Yeah, that's fair.
You know?
If you think that's crazy, the once per turn for a CP bringing back a unit, then there's something else you're going to think is crazy later on. Which we'll get to. Yeah. The reason why Rob is giggling.
Yes. Totally giggling like a normal person.
Do you want to move on to the battle formation stuff?
Certainly. Battle formations. Many storm hosts fight either as a thunderhead host or a lightning echelon. But when the ruination chambers are pressed into battle, they often march as sentinels of the bleak citadel, which is really cool. Oh dang it! I think I forgot to bring a picture that I wanted to show, but whatever. So sentinels of the bleak citadel. So these are basically like the 40k. It's basically the replacement for sub factions, and they're probably going to function a lot like they do in 40k. But anyway, the sentinels of the bleak citadels are once per turn army, any hero phase. Pick a friendly ruination chamber unit. That unit has a 5+ ward for the rest of the battle. That's really good. Like 5+, you just pick it. That's crazy. That's really strong. Because they're already hard to kill.
Yeah, everything in Stormcast is going to be on a 3+ save, and certainly I think Ruination Chamber stuff is on a 3+ save anyway, so 3+, 5+ ward is like the classic super tanky combo. That's awesome.
Yeah.
To see that.
Yeah, not a lot of stuff has that. Like, I can't... actually, never mind. Anyway, but I couldn't think of anything.
Maybe a Stonehorn?
Oh, right. Oh, Stonehorn with the specific Frost Lord. Because to get the 3+, doesn't he have to be the Husker doesn't get it. He's a 4+, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay.
Frost Lord on Stonehorn.
Frost Lord on Stonehorn. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, and Alex said a 5+ ward and a 3+ to ignore a non-core ability.
Jeez.
The Ruination Saber stuff. They're going to be tanky.
Good God. That's wild.
Because I'd imagine it would, like, an ability is a spell, right? So let's say someone's like, okay, I want to hit the guy with the spell, I want to charge him, and I want to, like, attack him, and like it's just going to be...
Wow.
It's going to be real tough to kill these Ruination Chamber guys.
Wow. They're going to be... That's going to be hard to balance, I think. You know?
Yeah. I mean, we'll see.
It's true, yeah.
Until we have everything, we can't really know. But
yeah, we don't even know points at this point.
They're queuing them up to be super tough.
Yeah,
right.
That's fair. Okay, so blah, blah, more flavor text. Should I go to Arcana and Incantations?
Yeah, so they gave us just a little preview of a prayer here. So in your hero phase, you can pray for blessed weapons, which is you declare, you pick a friendly Stormcast Eternals priest to chant this prayer, pick a friendly visible Stormcast Eternals infantry unit, wholly within 12 inches of them to be the target, and then make a chanting roll of d6. And as we saw before, the way that chanting works is if you roll a 1, you lose 3 of your ritual points. Anything other than a 1, you gain that many ritual points. And then those are kind of banked until you decide to spend them on a prayer. So let's say you roll a 4. It's not quite a 6, which is what Blessed Weapons needs. You just have 4 ritual points until you want to spend them. Or even if you roll 6 and you get all 6 points, you can decide not to use it if you want to use the more powerful version, which we'll see is on a 12+ later here. So the effect is add 1 to the attack's characteristic of target's melee weapons until the start of your next turn. If the chanting roll was a 12+, this ability affects all visible friendly Stormcast Eternal units wholly within 12 of the chanter. So this is super cool, I think, because it's like you can either spend what is probably 2 turns to give something like, or someone +1 attack, which is not great, I think. Or this is like a once per game in turn 4 or 5.
Yeah.
And you just give your whole army +1 attack, essentially.
Yeah.
Or sorry,
Well, everyone within
12
range.
inches.
Yeah.
But yes.
But I mean, that could be your whole army, especially in turn 4.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, this will be.
So this is an excellent like demonstration of the new prayer system, I think, where it's like you can do this cool thing, which is still very powerful now, or you can wait and you can hold on to these points, and later you might be able to do something like game changing.
Well, you also need a 6 though too.
Yeah.
So, like, getting a 6 ain't easy. You know what I mean?
Definitely not.
Yeah. So, but it's a really, but like you said, it's a really great example of the new system.
Yeah. Warpstone Enjoyer says, holy within 12 isn't easy. Tell that to the fire bellies billowing ash. Okay? If I can do it with billowing ash and give my whole army -1 to hit, you can be holy within 12 and get +1 attack.
Especially on a very, elite army.
Yeah. Plan ahead. I mean, I guess they're deep striking down, so that's not super easy.
But there's also, like, friggin' Ionis with that giant ass base of his, and he's a priest. And he'll have access to this because you can just pick a prayer lore or whatever, right? So
he might be a double chanter too. That could be a thing.
That could be a thing. We haven't seen. One. He might be +1 or 2 to chant, and with his bigger base size, and he's very mobile. I think it might be very easy to do. What up, Keith? Thanks for joining us.
Sorry. Even if he isn't like +1 or 2 to chant or something like that, if you're a double chanter, you can say, okay, I'm going to just pick a prayer that I don't intend on doing to just gain ritual points, and then I'm going to do another prayer, and this is the one that I'm going to intend to actually spend those ritual points on.
Right.
So you could be getting these powerful effects the very first time you try to chant, if you roll well enough, right? Like if you roll a 6 into a 6 for this one, that'd be crazy on turn 1. Right. Super unlikely, but you could do it.
Yeah, that's true. That's a great point. I mean, and like if you roll a 6 into a 4, or like a 5 and a 4, then you're getting it for your whole army on like a 4-up in turn 3. You know what I mean?
Turn 2.
Or turn 2? What do you mean? So
if you're a double caster. So if you're a double.
Oh, if you're a double chanter, I see what you're saying. Could you do that twice in one turn? I think it's once per turn to add the prayer points, right?
Right, but what I'm saying is your ritual points are for that one priest. So you could say, I'm going to attempt to chant this other prayer to rack up ritual points.
Oh.
And then I'm going to attempt to chant blessed weapons to rack up ritual points for that.
Right.
And then you still have your ritual points pool. Again, this is assuming that you can do that. Alex also says, another big thing is that the 12+ version doesn't have a restriction on unit type it buffs.
No, it's true.
So that's pretty crazy. It doesn't have to just be infantry. Yeah, it could be everything. Yeah. Or it is everything, rather. So
it is.
Yeah, that's massive. I didn't even notice that.
Good catch. A huge... Yeah, that's a huge buff, like, to your army. Getting it on mounts and stuff like that, too. You're like, what? Do they cover if you just go, this priest is chanting, and then later... I don't remember. That's kind of what I was wondering, too, Keith. But...
So I think they did cover that in an article a while back.
I think it's if you don't, you could choose to not chant a prayer, right? To charge them up, right? So then if they're a double chanter, I mean, we've never seen a double chanter in all of Age of Sigmar, just to be clear.
Ionis is a double chanter.
Right now?
I think he is, yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, then I think he's the first. And then, but he's like the last priest to come out before the new edition, so maybe it'll be like a proper thing in this edition.
Yeah, he can choose to chant 2, or he can auto-chant 1 on a 6.
Right. Man, it's been so long since he came out, and I haven't seen him nearly enough in, like, on the tabletop. Okay. Shall we move on?
Moving on to some war scrolls.
Moving on. Krondys. The lesser cool of the 2 dragons. I just want to point that out. Karazai is definitely way cooler, but they chose Krondys, which is fine. Also known as Fido. I like to call him Fido because he's got a dog collar on. 20 health now. 3 up save, 5 control, 12-inch move. I've noticed that a lot of their movement has gone down because I'm almost positive he was 14 inches before. And like a lot of stuff too, like the Vermin Lords used to be 12 inches, now they're 10. Like a lot of stuff has just gone down slightly, and I think that's a good thing. But yeah. So, and he lost his ward, but you could give it to him, obviously, in certain.
Yeah, right? I'll go along. He does. So he starts at 14-inch move, currently.
Okay. Oh, he's currently 14. Right, and then he goes down, and we're seeing like the changes to that. Alex says Krondys the lamer brother. It's true. And Keith says Krondys is a wizard. Wizards are cool. That would be true. But no, just hear me out. Hear me out. Wizards are cool. They're cool, but it doesn't make him cooler than Karazai. Karazai is cooler. Like he just is. He looks way better. I will fight you all. Okay. I'm not super hot on Stormcast, but I do love my dragons. Why I oughta. Moving right along. 12-inch shot from his ranged weapon. 1 attack, 2 up, 3 up. Ren 2, 3 plus D3 damage. God dang. Like, that's so sick. I love this change to, like, just, like, moving away from just, like, flat mortals. It is what I heard, that we're, like, they're moving away from mortals and shooting, mostly. I've heard that one unit still has it that I personally really like, but I can't confirm or deny. That's just something I heard through the grapevine, But what do you think about that?
I think it's generally a good thing. I think that's a really good way to piss people off. Is like, I'm 24 inches away and I'm doing a bajillion mortal wounds to you with shooting. Like that's really, really annoying to deal with. And like warp lightning cannons is a really good example of that right now, where it's like if someone rolls a 1 on their warp lightning cannon, they're just like zap 12 mortal wounds from 24 inches away, and you're like, cool, sounds good.
Yeah, that's true.
That's great.
No, it was a huge problem, especially at the start of AOS 3. Like people were like, I saw a lot of, and like there was definitely a way to deal with dragons. Like I never actually personally found them oppressive, but I won't throw anyone under the bus, but like I'm a member of another Discord. It's not a local Discord. And they were just saying like they're all new people, and they were all just kind of basically just saying like, I don't want to play Stormcast Dragons. And they weren't even considered top tier at the time, not even close. And they were just like, I don't want to deal with them. They're just too good, And so that's not good for the game. So this also adds a little bit more, what's the word? Like it's basically the same thing as a 4 up, right? A 2 up, 3 up?
Not exactly.
No?
I mean, I guess, what is it, 0.83 times 0.66? It's a little better than a 4 up.
It's a little better? Okay. Well, I think that's good.
55% chance of happening.
Then I think that's good. Like, I actually think that's right in the zone of where I would want to put them. So, and Ren 2 is very strong, and just that huge, and it's kind of fun too, to be honest. You know what I mean? I would suspect that like the other guys are going to be like, 1 or 2 plus D3 damage, like the smaller dragons, maybe. I don't know. But either way, I think it's really cool. Anyway, moving right along. Apex Maw, 4 attacks, 3s and 2s. So mostly on monsters, we've been seeing 4s to hit. So this is very reliable. Anti-infantry for +1 Ren. So they're Ren 3 against infantry and 4 flat damage. And then you've got 6 attacks, 3s and 2s again, 2 Ren, 2 flat damage. Like, that's crazy. That's really good. So while the unit has 10 or more, while this unit has 10 or more damage points, the attacks characteristic of Apex Maw goes down to 2. Okay, like that's taking a lot of damage, so fair enough. Also, you add 2 to casting rolls again, so nothing for the dispelling or unbinding, which is really good. And then Soul Shaking Roar, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target, roll a 3 up, and the target unit cannot use commands for the rest of the turn. That's insane. It's not even just the combat phase or anything like that. So
yeah, it's a better version of Roar right now, like the Monstrous Rampage, because that means that presumably if you were to pick, so also actually another thing I just noticed, it doesn't have to be a non-monster as the target. Or no, you could target a non-monster, or you could target a monster right now. I bet.
Yeah, you could. Yeah. But that's fair.
But it's like one big ability that people were kind of like talking about is power through at the end of the turn. If you roar a monster, it can't, or if you roar anything, it can't power through at the end of the turn.
Right.
Whereas now, the current version of Roar, it's like you just can't all-out attack or all-out defense. Or if you're OBR, all of your other stuff. Or
right.
You have, like, special commands in the combat phase. But then it's like, yeah, to the end of the turn is a huge change. I'm a big fan of that. That makes a lot of sense.
It's cool. And what Keith said is true as well. I'm hoping things being less movement is an attempt at there being less turn one charges. I think it's important for them to balance out, because now we've got a lot less reason to kind of take what's the word? Like to take the top of the turn. Or no. Well, basically I think it's to balance out.
Go second.
Exactly. To go second. Thank you. Yeah. So yeah, I think it's really good.
Yeah.
Sorry. Alex is being an ass. By the way, wasn't Scar played by Alan Richter?
Do you mean Rickman?
Rickman, thank you. I don't know who Alan Richter is.
It's Andy Richter's son.
Then I want to meet him too, and he'd probably think he's awesome. I'm pretty sure it was Alan Rickman, who is a god, like an actual god. So
he is,
just saying.
I don't know if that's true. I don't know if that's true. I suspect with the whole movement thing, so monsters used to bracket their movement.
Yeah.
I suspect this is like somewhat of a middle ground near the upper end of the bracket,
That's
because
true.
he did bracket to get as low as 8-inch move. So it went 14, 12, 10, 8. So I think they probably just went like, well, we don't want him to always be 14, so let's just make it like most of the way there at a 12.
Right.
Which I think is reasonable, for it not to be like always the best that it has been.
I agree, and I just think that like even though I loved having monsters move super far, I do think that like in general, I think the difference between like normal infantry moving 6 and some like a lot of units moving 12 or 14 or 16 for like some units, there's just a little bit too much of a difference there to where, yeah, I don't know. It's hard to represent the points and stuff like that. So yeah, and then his spell goes off on an 8 still, but he does have +2 to his cast. So then pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches of the caster to be the target, and then pick one of the following effects to apply to them. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for the target's attacks. Okay, it just says attacks. It does not say melee attacks. Subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of the target's weapons, so making your units even tankier, ostensibly. And then flash freezing blizzard. Subtract 1 from save rolls for the target. Like, my god, that spell is just as good, if not better than before. My god. Yeah.
Yeah. So right now it is... I think it's the same, actually, isn't it?
Oh, is it? I couldn't remember. Like,
it's the same, except there's one less option. So right now there's Blinding Gales, which is, I think, the same. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks made by that unit. Yep. Meteor Hail, worsen the rend characteristic by 1, yes. And then Lightning Vortex is the one that is missing in the new one, which in the old one is subtract 1 from the attacks characteristic of missile weapons used by that unit. So it's like a specific ranged debuff. And then the last one, Flash Freezing Blizzard, is the same. So they basically just give you one less option. But it's still really good.
That's true.
And it is, the old one goes off on a 9. This one goes off on an 8.
Oh, I could have sworn it was an 8. That's so funny.
And the new one is 18-inch range. The old one is 24-inch range.
Whoa. That's a big difference.
Yeah.
My word.
Yeah, it is.
Wow, I'm actually reeling from that a bit. Huh. And he's on a 130 base, I think, right?
He
is
on
160?
On a 160.
Oh my god. Ugh.
Yeah.
By the way, Eric pointed this out. Why don't we just have the bases on the war scrolls? Like,
that'd be nice.
You know, it doesn't have to be big. Put it down in a corner, all tucked away. You know, black font. You know, just in parentheses. I don't know. Anyway, moving right along.
Yep.
Oh, by the way, Warpstone corrected. Apparently, it was Jeremy Irons. So Karazai is now 10% less cool because, but he's still cooler than Krondus. Suck it. Anyway.
A couple other things in his keywords that we have to pay attention
please.
to as well.
Yep.
He is still a 2-caster. He has a wizard power level 2, and he's a war master as well.
Yep.
Which I don't think he was before.
I don't remember.
Looking at his war scroll, I don't think he was a war master before.
Okay.
So that's pretty interesting.
Yep. Wizard 2. He's a big dwagon. Okay. By the way, my voice is a little messed up. I don't know if it's showing or not. We didn't have a chance to talk to it.
I can do Indrasta though.
Okay. Oh no, I just wanted to apologize because it's going to be all night if it is going on. So, yeah.
Oh, gotcha. Okay, so Indrasta, we've got 12-inch move, 3+ save, 8 health, 2 control. Then we've got the Thengavar, 12-inch range shot, 1 attack, 3s, 2s, Ren 2, damage 4, and anti-monster for +1 Ren, so that'll bring it to Ren 3. And then in melee, you also have Thengavar, which is 2 attacks on 2s and 2s, which is pretty crazy. That's the first we've seen of that, I think.
And you and I are not a huge fan of that either, to be honest.
No, not really.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's 2 attacks, so
Yeah, that's true.
If you're going to do 2s and 2s, it should be on something that's
true.
Class.
That's a very good point. Yep. I like what you're saying.
Ren 2 damage 3, and again anti-monster +1 Ren, so Ren 3 damage 3. Blade of the High Heavens, 5 attacks, 3s, 3s, Ren 2 damage 3. So like, actually that's super. I was about to say it's a glutton profile, but it's way better. It's it's like almost 2 Iron Guts for all my ogre viewers out there. And then the passive that is there is the Prime Huntress, which is an effect. It's passive, double the damage characteristic of this unit's Thengavar for attacks that target monsters, which means Thengavar, when you're in melee, is going to be damage 6 flat.
And against
monsters.
I've seen people argue
3 damage 6.
Ren 3 damage 6, which is wild, but we should point out a lot of people are arguing over this. I'm in every Facebook group, so unfortunately I see all the nonsense. The reason why that this is only in melee, because it doesn't say melee in there, but it's because you can see at the top there it's keyword and color coded for the combat phase specifically. If it wasn't going to be that, it would be another color. Yeah.
It's not only the color, but also the icon that's in the top.
That's what did I not say that? I'm sorry. I meant to say that as well. Yeah.
No, it's all good. But she does have another passive, which I believe is movement or charge phase. Right. Which is the effect add 1 to the number of dice rolled when making charge rolls for this unit to a maximum of 3. This is really interesting because countercharge, as we know, is an ability that, or a command ability that exists in the game. Indrasta has fly, and if she's charging on 3d6, that's like an excellent countercharge unit. Especially like if you don't want a monster slamming into your front lines, you put Indrasta like 7-8 inches back or something like that. Nothing too crazy. The monster comes in and Indrasta just goes hello and just absolutely nukes the monster.
Yeah.
In a counterpunch, because it doesn't say in your charge phase, it just says the charge phase add 1 to the number of dice rolled.
Right.
So yeah, and then she's got a third passive, which is ignore negative modifiers to the control scores of friendly Stormcast Eternals units while they're wholly within 12 of this unit. So a pretty nice buff. We haven't really seen a lot of stuff that subtracts from control scores. No. I think we've seen like 1 or 2 things, but I assume it's very prevalent out there in control armies, like I could see. Right. Tzeentch having stuff like that, and any other army that...
A lot of armies. I think it's going to be... Because like control being up here on every war scroll, I think we're going to see a lot of interaction with that, both positive and negative. Or not like... I mean like buffs and nerfs or whatever, two things. Debuffs. Yeah. Should point out a couple of things. One is that her ward save is now a 5-up, and instead of a 4-up, she was rocking a 4-up ward before, which was Redonk. I don't think anyone should ever have a 4-up ward. Maybe Gotrek, but maybe not even then. I'm not sure. And then War Master is also on there. And another thing too is a lot of people are pointing out, like kind of saying, "Oh, it's too bad she doesn't have her like revive models and stuff like that." And I mean, like, this is not original thought that I'm having, obviously, but I kind of reacted to it in the same way as a lot of other people, just saying, like, this is way more thematic and cool. She's a monster hunter, so, like, have her represent that. She's not, like, some kind of priest or something like that where she's reviving people. So, I think this is a lot better.
And what we've seen so far, like, she's going to mess up monsters.
She is
like
going
100%.
to F them up, because it's, like... Her Thengavar is insane, but like she's like outside of that, she's rocking 5 attacks, 3s and 3s, -2, 3 flat damage. That is a really strong profile. Like
yeah, she has a damage potential of 21 by herself against a non-monster.
Non-monster,
and 27 against a monster, which is pretty spicy.
That's very spicy, and that's not even including her shooting attack, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And which will do 8 damage to... Oh, no, it doesn't do 8 damage. That's right. It doesn't apply. Right. I just said that, too.
But, I mean, right now it's D6. So that's a buff, I would say.
It's a huge buff.
I would much rather do flat 4 than D6. Because to me, D6 means 1, usually.
Absolutely.
And she is a War Master now. And as you said, she has a 5-up ward instead of a 4-up ward. So those are things to pay attention to.
Are all the Stormcast heroes a War Master or what? Because Bastion's getting it.
I think what they're doing is they're making it so that, like, okay, you're a named character, so clearly you should be a War Master, like a general in addition, right? Which kind of makes sense.
So all named characters?
Again, I'm not making that claim, but I'm saying, like, it makes sense for a named character to be a general in addition, if they're supposed to be, like, a super special person,
Actually,
right?
You know what? It's not tied to command points anymore, so it's far less important, I guess.
Yeah, I'd imagine it probably has to do with list building, like your regiments, generals, regiments, and stuff like that.
Ooh.
So
maybe
it makes it so that
battle
tactic where you have to kill someone in the general's regiment could apply to a War Master too.
Ooh.
So that kind of is actually a bad thing.
Yeah, that's actually very interesting. Taking additional unit, and that's true. I mean, I'm sure there's going to be good and bad to both, but. By the way, you guys were being hilarious in the chat about Alex was saying, because Leviticus was saying he's seen spiders that big, the 160 oval or 160 round bases, and Alex says Aussie confirmed, and then anyway, it was very funny. Are we good with her?
Yep.
Cool.
I think we can move on to the Knight Arcanum.
Do it.
Which is disappointing as always, I think. It's fine. 6 health on a 3-up save, 5-inch move, 2 control. The staff is not great. It's kind of interesting that it's +1 rend against anti-manifestation. That's neat. So he can walk up and punch endless spells better, which is kind of funny.
Yeah.
And then his passive is add 1 to the casting rolls for this unit when it uses a summon ability, which is going to be like a manifestation of some sort. And add 1 to banishment rolls for this unit. So it's just very centered on manifestations, essentially.
Right.
In addition, enemy manifestations cannot pass through or end any move within this unit's combat range unless they started that move within this unit's combat range. And this unit has a ward of 4+ against the mortal damage inflicted by manifestations. So I could see maybe, just because we don't know a lot about manifestations yet, like what they specifically do and how often they're going to be used, maybe there's a future where this guy just like sits in front of your army and is like, no, you can't come near me. Stop it. Like for manifestations, like he is a screen for them.
Yeah,
which is kind of neat. But as it stands, I'm not super wowed by this guy. Doesn't have a ward.
No,
he's a wizard 1. So and he would just access the Stormcast lore or whatever lore you included for your army. He's warrior chamber, and he's infantry. Which is kind of neat.
Yep. Nothing to write home about, but seems pretty normal, you know. Yeah. Okay. Annihilators. Now, are these guys? We're not like. I'm assuming that these are just regular annihilators, and then you'll also have a different war scroll for the ones with grand hammers. They haven't amalgamated them, I assume, right?
I doubt it. I doubt they've amalgamated them. Okay.
I was just curious. But anyway, so 4-inch move. Very, stubby legs, I guess. 3 health, 2 up saves still, 1 control, 3 attacks, 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 2 damage, and then brace for impact. Pick an enemy unit that charged this turn and is in combat with this unit to be the target. Roll a dice for each model in this unit. If any of the rolls are a 6, the target has a strike last for the rest of the turn. Very good. Like, my God, what a screen, right? And then, because it's not like they're not that fighty either. They're pretty good. But if this unit, also they have Blazing Impact, which is pretty similar as before. If you set them up with the Scions of the Storm ability, pick up to 3 enemy units within 10 inches to be the targets. Roll a d3 for each. On a 2-up, on the d3, don't forget. So that's a 3 on a 6-sided dice. You inflict the amount of mortal damage. So either you inflict 2 or 3 mortal wounds.
Yeah. So just a bit of like info on that brace for impact there. So it's if any of the rolls are a 6, the target has a strike last for the rest of the turn. So if you're rolling 3 dice, and you are going after, what's it called? You're going after just 1 6. You have about a 23% chance to get that. So you kind of have like but it's just about a 1 in 4 chance.
But it's roll. Oh, I see. Yeah. I see.
1 for each model in this unit.
Yeah.
If you're double reinforced, it gets to be much better. I think I remember we talked to Conan about that, where it's like if you roll 6 dice, it's not a 100% chance.
No.
Or on average, it's not that you're going to get a 6, right? It's like
for
a 70-something% chance.
Right.
So yeah, for this it'll be like it's unlikely to happen, but it could, which is interesting. But if you reinforce them, then there's a pretty decent chance that it happens, like 2/3 or a little better than 2/3.
Right. Yeah. I mean, again, it'll all depend on the points. Just doing like splash mortals is really cool on its own. The 2-up save is amazing. You double reinforce them and you hand them a ward of 5 up, and like, what's gonna go through that unit? Like, I have no idea. But yeah, we should probably move along because there's quite a few.
It's a lot.
There's a lot.
Yep. The rest of this stuff is spearhead stuff. Do you want to cover that, or do you want to?
No, I think we're okay, especially after what we saw. But I just wanted to point out one thing.
Sure.
This paint scheme is awesome. Like, this is what I would paint them. I haven't seen this before. I don't know what it's supposed to be, like what faction it is, but I love them. And that's it. That's all I had. Anyway, so I guess we'll go on to next. Oh, sorry, I did pull up the Necromunda. I just wanted to show everyone these freaking like weird gene stealers. Did you see these guys? What?
I don't think I did, actually, no.
They're so sick. I wish they had made the new Gene Stealers all like this. I wish they were all like this, because these things are unreal. I like the little, like, weird brain monster things that are floating around. The little StarCraft overlords or whatever. But, yeah, anyway. I hope this was actually supposed to come first before we started getting into the rules, so my apologies, but...
How dare you?
I know. Anyway, and then there was also this brain guy for Gene Stealer Cult. I love how freaky they're getting. Like, this is what they should do more of in 40K. Like, this might draw me back in. Love it. Anyway.
Yeah, this guy's super cool. He's like a what the heck are they called?
A zoanthrope?
Zoanthrope. Yeah, exactly.
That's what I thought of too.
His brain is a zoanthrope, essentially.
Yeah. And he's got the little tail coming out of the skirt or whatever. Or she, I don't know. But
I kind of love that, because it's like...
We do.
The tail coming out of the skirt is supposed to be like, oh, it's a subtle, like, oh, it's an alien, oh my god. But then you look up and it's
with 3 arms.
I never knew.
Yeah, exactly. It just feels so cartoonish where you know what I mean. It's like a cartoon where like an animal is dressing up as a human and they're wearing like a dress, like a long dress, and then the tail is what gives it away. But like you said, the face is just like, oh my god, you know, like you could have them like with an abbot sort of like cloth over their head. God damn.
Yep. I'm just a regular American.
Yeah.
Pull myself up by my bootstraps with my 3 arms.
Exactly. I've been talking on my cell phone too much, and I got some tumors in my head, but the doctor says it'll be fine. The aliens are coming to save me.
Oh my god.
Yeah. Oh no, my god, it's a tail. Yeah. Okay. Anyway, sorry guys. So then we got the stream. We had the stream last. What day of the week was it? Saturday, I want to say.
Yes, it was Saturday.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we got a bunch of Lumineth and Skaven stuff. Maybe we can kind of zip through them because there's a lot of info to go over. So the battle traits for them is passive lightning reactions. When players are alternating picking units to use the fight ability, when it's your turn to pick a unit, you can pick 2 units instead of 1. Insane. That's so strong. Resolve the second fight ability immediately after the first. And then...
so that does currently exist with Lumineth. That's worth saying.
Does it really? I didn't even remember that.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
I believe it does. I'm just going to verify that.
Wow. That's so...
5 seconds here.
That's really good. Okay. I'll keep going while you're checking that. Start of the battle round, you can only use this ability if you have not used any Facet of War abilities this battle round. Subtract 1 from hit rolls for attacks that target friendly Venari units for the rest of the battle round.
Yep. It does. So that is...
Cool. Once you said it, I was just like, oh, wow, yeah. Like, that sounds right. I don't play them very often, and I suppose it shows. What do you think about the start of the Shining Company?
Shining Company is interesting. So they kind of introduced this Facet of War system where
Right.
you can only pick 1 to use, essentially. And they can happen at different times. So like rather like 4 of them happen at the same time, it seems. But we have 5 Facets of War here. Shining Company is one of them, and you can only choose one of them.
Right.
But I kind of like that it's each battle round you choose one of them, right?
Yeah.
But as we saw on stream, Nicholas Desson, he was just using Move Like the Wind the entire game. And he even told Tom, like, I'm just going to choose this every time, so don't worry. Like,
That's
he had a whole bunch
so
of those, like,
funny.
Huracan Wind Chargers.
Right.
But yeah, the Shining Company is pretty good. It doesn't force you to be, like, base-to-base contact and, like, super formationed up. And to be honest, with the half-inch coherency that's happening right now, we're probably not going to see that much anyway. Or see anybody not doing that anyway.
Right.
Yeah, and then we've got Move Like the Wind, as I mentioned before, which is in your shooting phase. Again, you can only do it if you haven't already used the Facet of War. You pick up to 3 friendly Huracan units that are not in combat to be targets. Each target can move a distance up to its move characteristic. It cannot move into combat during any part of that move, and it cannot use shoot abilities for the rest of the turn. So basically what that means is in the movement phase, you can move. In the shooting phase, you can shoot. And then in the shooting phase, using Move Like the Wind, you can move 3 units again. So they kind of have jump, shoot, jump, which is like the dreaded Tau rule that everyone kind of hates.
Yep.
It's interesting. I don't know how to feel about this. This feels really powerful, but as we saw, the game between Tom and Nicholas was quite close. So you could argue that maybe everything is just going to be crazy in 4th.
The thing is, though, too, is that the Skaven had quite a bit of shooting. He had a unit of 6 Stormfiends and a unit of 6 Jezzail. And so if you don't have shooting, it might... I don't know. This might be a huge NPE. I don't know. I'm not saying it is. I'm saying it might be a huge NPE because... Yeah, if you're like a slow-moving army, I don't know.
It's not great.
Yeah.
So this also, actually, I would say could be bad against a shooting army. It could be bad for someone who has shooting to go up against this.
Right.
Because let's say your shooting is like 20-inch range or something like that. The Hurricanes just jump into range, shoot you, and then jump out of range so that you can't counter shoot them back.
Right.
That's a big thing that you have to think of.
That's true as well.
Yeah, granted, I think we'll see later on. I think all
so you're saying there's more NPE that I haven't thought about.
Yeah.
Got it. Oh, that's good to know.
But anyway, Power of Hish, start of the battle round is another facet of war you can use. Has to be used on a Venari unit. The effect is that the target's attacks score critical hits on unmodified rolls of 5+ for the rest of the battle round instead of 6s. So we don't really know what that entails yet, but could be cool.
Yep.
The next one is Deep Thinkers. It's just add 1 to casting rolls for friendly Sonari units for the rest of the battle round. Neat. Enduring as a Rock is you can only use this ability. Oh, sorry. I don't know why I just automatically started reading that. It's a facet of war ability. You can only use it. You haven't used other ones. And then it's subtract 1 from the Ren characteristic of weapons used for attacks that target friendly Alarith units for the rest of the battle round. And that's basically the. I think Enduring as a Rock is actually what it's called right now. When you look at like the Stone Guard and the big cows and stuff like that, they have the subtracting rend. So yeah, that's neat. I like that it's almost OBR-esque where they have to like pick between a bunch of different things to do rather than like locking into 4 battle traits. It's
strategic and it's cool. The Deep Thinkers one is cool because it's just all your Sonari casting. The shooting one though, it seems so obviously better, and it's funny that they highlighted like it's I know that's not the reason. It's blue because it's the shooting phase, right? But it's like they highlighted the one that's clearly way better because it's 3 units. Almost everything other than the casting one is pick a unit, and this is 3 units. So yeah, I think
Alex in the
sorry.
Go ahead.
Sorry, we're like, I think I see why the guy picked mostly Huracan units and just did that. Like, yeah. Oh, actually, the one thing we forgot to mention too. I meant to say this earlier is people totaled up the amount of units in both armies, Skaven and Lumineth or something like that, and apparently it was 1750 points of what is current. So like it looks like everything is going to go like they're doing that again where they're getting rid of the clutter and the kind of the points the points buffs or whatever where they decrease the points and you get more of stuff, and I'm really glad they're doing that. I think it's important that every edition they kind of just do that because otherwise it's just going to get crazier and crazier. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah, I agree. No, that's okay. I was just going to say, Alex said in the chat, whilst they're running away, they aren't capping your objectives. That's true, but as we saw, what Nicholas brought it wasn't actually just Huracan units, because as we see here, it's pick up to 3, so you didn't just spam a whole bunch of them. I think he had a full strength or a reinforced Wind Chargers unit, a regular Wind Chargers unit, and then Sever it to all do the jump, shoot, jump stuff. And then the other stuff that he had was stuff that was explicitly really good on objectives. So he had Avalanor, he had Stone Guard, and I think that was it. So basically he had like 2 main sections to his army. One of them that was supposed to be like, I'm standing on this objective and you can't do anything about it. And the other one is like prancing around and shooting you without you being able to really touch it. So it was smart to see him do that. But I think that's kind of like the counterpoint I have, is that sure, they're not going to be on objectives, but doesn't mean that your whole army has to be that, right?
No. And we don't know if they got to choose their own armies, but I think they did, based on the LRL alone.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll see later on if we skip. It's almost at the bottom, actually.
Right.
But Alarith Temple was one of the, like, sub-factions, quote-unquote. And what that means is the effect is you can use Enduring as a Rock in addition to any facet of war during the battle round. So that means that you can pair it up with something else that you want to do. So that's what Nicholas was doing, was he was saying, okay, all of my stuff is -1 rend, and I'm getting the move like the wind trait too. So just really leaning into like a tanky core with like some kiting units around it. So that was kind of neat to see.
That's really good. What up, Asri? Meat, indeed. Okay, their lore, or one of their lores. Oh, right. Thank you. Use it for spackle. Manifestation lore. I really wish... I know this is... They probably wanted to put the name first, but I really wish it was lore of manifestation. It sounds better, but I know. I'm being annoying. But anyway, summon Sanctum of Amintok. Goes off on a 4. If there are not a friendly Sanctum of Amintok on the battlefield, pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's Wizard to cast the spell. Pick a visible friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's infantry hero, wholly within 12 inches of them and more than 3 inches from all other units and terrain features to be the target. Make a casting roll.
I don't think we have to read all these out. This is basically just saying, like, these are the things that you can do. This is what's packaged up in the lore of Hysh, which didn't really surprise anyone.
No.
This is their casting values and then, like, a little bit of deployment rules.
Well,
what this kind of says to us is, like, how do you set up the thing? And then that way, when you look at the war scroll for that thing, you don't have to see like a giant block of text which explains how to set it up, and instead you only see the relevant things to when it's actually in the battle.
That's true. That's a good point. But yeah, I mean, so yeah, I guess we don't have to, read out any of the other ones.
Because none of these actually tell us.
Well, it says wholly within 12, wholly within 18. And the other one was 6. And they go off on 4, 7, and 5, respectively. And so then we'll have to go down and check the war scroll or whatever to see, to compare.
They didn't show us, unfortunately.
Right, that's right. Yeah, I forgot. Okay, so then there's also the spell lore.
Yep.
Speed of Hysh. Pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's Wizard to cast a spell. And then pick a Lumineth Realm Lord's unit, wholly within 18. Add 4 inches to the target's move characteristic until the start of your next turn. By the way, it goes off on a 5.
Yeah. There's a couple key things here. Number one is currently Speed of Hysh is just you get to move twice. So you could have like Venari Dawn Riders just zooming across the battlefield. However... So this is just adding 4 to the move characteristic, which isn't great. I mean, it's fine for your infantry, probably. But look at the keywords, Rob. Look at the keywords.
The keywords. Spell. Unlimited.
Unlimited.
Power!
This means that you can be casting it on multiple units, which is kind of a buff, right? Like if
that's
you want your whole army to be moving forward super fast, then you can do that. Granted, as we know, unlimited doesn't mean the same caster, if you cast 3 times, can cast on Speed of Hysh 3 times. It means that for each caster you have, you can cast Speed of Hysh, which is really nice. And I wouldn't be surprised if... Actually, we don't know if they're going to be wizards, the Lumineth units. Maybe they won't be. Maybe I'll be crazy.
That would be crazy if they all had access to this.
Yeah, I'm kind of starting to doubt that now, actually.
I mean, but they were traditionally...
They were, but that was when you had to give them a specific spell to cast. So maybe not.
That's true. Yeah, we'll see. Anyway,
Overwhelming Heat goes off on a 7. You pick a friendly Lumineth Realm Lord's Wizard to cast the spell. Pick a visible enemy within 18 inches of them to be the target. Then make a casting roll of 2d6. You have the target's move characteristic until the start of your next turn. Then roll a dice. If the roll exceeds or equals the target's save characteristic, inflict D3 mortal damage on it. So do a little bit of damage and half their move characteristic, which I think Overwhelming Heat has not really changed, except... Oh, actually, it has, sorry. Currently, it's 24-inch range, which is kind of stupid, in my opinion.
No
18
kidding.
inches is much better.
Yeah.
To just, 24 inches away, and you're like, you move half now. Like, that sucks.
That's crazy. Like, the we used to have the same spell in Skaven, and it went off on an 8. And we just didn't get it last edition. It only was on the Vermin Lord, what's his name? Warpseer. And his was like 13 inches or 18 inches or something like that. So, yeah, that's crazy, man.
Yeah.
This is incredible. Like, what a strong spell. Even like this. 18 inches? what?
I think it makes sense for it to be 18 inches for sure. You have to be somewhat close for it to be applicable.
But like, there's also like stuff you can do with like, you can move the wizard you want to cast this in their movement phase and get them just within. You know what I mean? Like, there's some like cool shenanigans you could do around this.
You can also do stuff like, so as we know, I keep saying that's my phrase of the day. As we know, as we've seen, you can cast one spell in your opponent's turn.
That's true as well.
Spell that you can cast.
Man!
Cast all of your buffs, and say that.
So you can move up in your turn, knowing they're going next.
Yeah.
Knowing you're going to cast this spell in their turn.
Exactly.
That's even better. Sheesh. Yeah. Okay.
That's one thing you always have to keep in mind about these new debuff spells that we're seeing is that in your opponent's turn they could go off, right?
Right.
Which effectively means you can move and then try and cast them.
Wow.
But anyway, lastly we have Protection of Hysh. Goes off on an 8, which is pretty steep, considering there won't be primal dice. Declare you pick a friendly Lumineth Realmlord's Wizard to cast a spell to make a casting roll of 2d6. And the effect is, until the start of your next turn, friendly units have a ward 5+ while they're wholly within 12 inches of the caster. Pretty good. I think that's the same as it is now.
Yeah, it is. I think it's 12 inches.
No, now it's a 9-inch aura.
Oh!
Or before, like the 3rd edition version is a 9-inch aura.
Wow.
This is a 12-inch aura. So,
sheesh.
Better.
That's wild. I mean, it's basically what's her name? The branch lady, Lady of Vines, right?
Yeah.
But that's crazy, man. That's so good. Okay, we have to get through them all. Through it all. 18-inch move on Severeth, 10 health, 4 up save. 18-inch move, by the way. Did I mention?
Or 22 inches with Speed of Hysh.
It was 22 inches. Yes, that's crazy. He has 4 attacks with his bow at 12 inches. And don't forget, he can move, shoot, move if you give him special flighty powers. 2s and 3s. Ren 3. 1 plus D3 damage shoots in combat. Yikes. And then in combat, 6 attacks, 2s and 4s, Rend 1 damage. Yeah. But he's a shooty fox guy.
He's a shooty unit.
Yeah. So that's actually pretty good because he's hitting on 2s. The wounding on 4s is not great. But anyway, Living Gale. This unit cannot be targeted by shooting attacks made by enemy units that are more than 9 inches. What the hell, right? Like, what the hell? We saw it used in that game. If you want to see how insanely powerful that could be, yeah.
Yeah, it's really good. Also, it is worth mentioning on the little wheel. Severeth is a 24-inch move currently and is a 5-up save currently. So while Severeth moves less now, like in the new edition,
right.
A 1 better of a save. So it's pretty good.
He moves 25 inches currently?
24.
24. Okay. Yeah. That's absolutely insane. I cannot believe they ever gave a unit 24 inches move. Okay then. Wow. I mean, this model is freaking rad, and it's my favorite Lumineth model, so I'm glad that it looks like this is going to be good. Anyway. Searing Desert Winds, pick up to 3 different enemy units in combat with this unit to be the targets. Roll D3 for each target. On a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on the target equal to the roll, and subtract 1 from wound rolls for the target's attacks for the rest of the turn. Incredible. That's just insane. And then also Spirit of the Vind. While friendly Huracan units are wholly within 12 inches of this unit, they can use shoot and or charge abilities even if they use a run or retreat ability in the same turn, and or mortal damage is inflicted to them. And my God.
Yeah.
And as we know,
you're gonna.
Oh, sorry.
As we know, sorry. Go ahead.
He has a 5-up ward, and he's a War Master.
He's a War Master. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the important thing. Yeah, this is really good. This is a unit where it's just like, you better kill him if you commit.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, he's gone.
He is gone.
He is gone.
And he's leaving you some flaming poop in a bag that is mortal damage.
Yep. Yeah, because he can be 30 inches away from you.
Right.
If he decides to like jump forward, use a shooting attack, and jump all the way back.
Right.
So good luck catching him.
Yeah.
Have fun. And you can't shoot him from that far away because he can't be shot outside of 9. So
right.
My God.
My God, indeed. Like, by the way, this model is so sick, and I'm just curious. Does anyone know the lore on him? Because he's not an elf, right? He's like some kind of fox demon or something. I don't even know. I don't get it, but I'm really curious. Anyway, Avalanor, the Stoneheart King. 6-inch move, 16 health, crazy. 3 up save, 5 control, 1 ranged attack at 3s and 2s, rend 2 d6 damage, and then melee weapons, 6 attacks, 3s and 2s, 2 rend, 4 freaking damage, and cloven hooves, 2 attacks, 4s and 2s, 1 rend, 2 damage. That's pretty scary. He's going to whack you. But also, as we know, battle damaged. While this unit has 10 or more damage points, the attack characteristic of the Fire Steel or Hammer is 4. So he loses 33% of his output.
Yeah. It does seem like they're trying to reduce the range of a lot of the ranged attacks too. Geometric Blast currently is 25 inches, going down to 12. So I'm happy for that.
Oh my God.
And I think it's just 5 flat damage, the current one.
I forgot. And it's 1 attack, right?
Yeah.
Okay. That's crazy, though.
1 attack, yeah, 3 is 2. Oh, no, it is d6 damage. My bad.
Okay.
Yeah.
25-inch range is wild, though.
Yeah, it brackets down to 10 inches, but...
You know what, though? This is also...
bracketing this guy.
Oh, that's fair, yeah. Well, the other thing, though, too, is it is, like... I think this is going to help, like, these kinds of changes are going to help them balance this army. Like, this army has been traditionally very difficult to balance. So, I think this will help overall. But,
yeah.
And then effect, the battle damaged ability has no effect on this unit while it is wholly within 12 inches of a friendly Alorith Stone Mage. So if he's got that nearby, then, joke's on you. Combat phase, pick up to 3 different friendly Alorith Elf units, wholly within 12 inches. Add 1 to the attacks characteristic of the unit's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. Very strong, 1 command point. And then Unbreakable Bulwark. Declare if this unit did not charge this turn, pick an enemy unit in combat with it to be the target. Roll a dice. On a 2-up, subtract 1 from the rend characteristic of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn, and add 1 to the attacks characteristic of this unit's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. So that's both profiles.
Yeah, that's really good.
Very good.
You get charged. You don't want to charge this guy, basically.
You probably don't, unless you're pretty desperate. Hopefully you get to fight first, but... Yeah. And as we know, Ward of 6 up, also a War Master.
That's right. And a monster.
And a monster.
Yes. And then speaking of the Alarith Stone Mage, here he is. Alarith Stone Mage. 6-inch move, 5 health, 4 up save, 2 control. He's a wizard of power level 1. Stone Mage stance. In the combat phase, pick 1 friendly Alarith Elf unit wholly within 12 inches to be the target. Roll a dice on a 3-up, add 1 to the rend characteristic of the target's melee weapons for the rest of the turn. So we're really seeing that those, like, the Stone Guard are going to be getting, like, +1 attack. They could be getting +1 rend from this guy. You're really beefing them up like crazy. So it's making them pretty deadly. And then he has a spell. Casting value 7, Living Fissure. Declare, pick a point on the battlefield within 18 inches of this unit to be the target, and then make a casting roll of 2d6. Draw a straight line between the target and the closest part of this unit's base. Roll a d3 for each unit, friendly and enemy, that the line passes across on 2-up, inflict the amount of mortal damage on that unit equal to the roll. So it's just like a big,
right,
bunch of damage in a line.
Yeah.
Which is kind of neat. I feel like you're probably going to be casting the Lumineth spell lore more, but you'll probably have a lot of wizards, so it might not matter.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, Warpstone did put the info for the chat, so if you're watching this back later, that's really cool. I did not know that about them, Warpstone, and I definitely I'm not considered myself any kind of LRL guy at all, but knowing that lore makes me, a little bit Lumineth curious. I got to admit. And Bahamut, we have not done any ratty goodness. We try to make the show only get better as we go along, not get worse. So we therefore have to do Skaven second.
Exactly. Then we've got the Alarth Temple, which
Right.
we already talked about.
Right.
Which is the Facet of War in addition. And then we've got the Huracan Wind Chargers, so the target of the awful move like the wind, or whatever it was called, that we just...
Yep. Did you say awful?
Yeah. I don't
He's not wrong.
To be honest.
He's not wrong. Yeah.
They have 14-inch move, which means they're just going to be moving 28 inches a turn. It's not a big deal.
Right.
They have 3 health, 4 up save, 1 control, and then their Wind Charger bows are also 12 inches. 3 attacks, 3s, 4s, rend 1, damage 1. So it's not crazy. I think they come in units of 5. So what is that? 15 attacks on 3s and 4s on average. I'm going to get through 15 times 0.66 times 0.5. On average, 5 of them get to your armor save. So a unit of 5 is really not going to be doing a huge amount of damage to you.
Yep.
It's like chip damage for sure.
Mm-hmm.
So not the worst thing. And as I don't think we've seen that, there's a lot of ways to improve the wound characteristic, which is kind of the big limiting thing here. You could definitely all-out attack them, so it'd be 2s and 4s instead.
Right.
But still, it's nothing obscene.
No.
And then the melee weapons are obviously bad.
As is tradition.
Good, that would be weird.
Yeah.
The big thing is that the passive is that ward rolls cannot be made for damage points inflicted by this unit's shooting attacks. So you can't make ward saves against these guys, which is
Yeah, that's kind of scary, especially for some some units will depend on their ward save as opposed to their regular save, so that could be quite devastating. Also, they're all about movement, and again, my favorite thing that we've seen thus far out of Lumineth is the Wind Temple guys. I think all the kangaroo and fox guys, all that stuff is really dope. That's definitely what I would play if I were.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We see they have a champion and a standard bearer.
Right.
I think something was cut off there. Maybe they have a musician.
Probably.
I'm not sure about that.
Sounds right. I just wanted to ask real quick too. Asri said he has a spoiler that was confirmed via nods and winks by people of repute in Dallas. It says allies are extremely limited or non-existent. Only real way to get them is via regiments of renown. That's wild. I had not heard that. So, and Ludivicus isn't wrong about the. That's just the other reason. That's just bonus. You know what I mean? And Warpstone said, check out 2+ Tough's video on Lumineth, and I will definitely do that actually. And I am the Mortark of Hype. It's true.
Gotcha. Also, Keith confirmed Wind Chargers is just a champion and a banner, so no musician.
Oh, okay. Good to know.
I think so. Okay, it was interesting that we got to see this army go up against Skaven.
Yeah.
Because I actually feel like this would have been better against Skaven, considering it's a low rend.
What is better against Skaven?
So you see that Huracan. So we saw that there was a unit of 10 Wind Chargers and a unit of 5 Wind Chargers, and he was doing the jump, shoot, jump stuff.
Yeah.
I think an army like this, so a list like that, would bounce off of what we've seen of Stormcast so far, where everything's on a 3-up save.
Right.
You have access to wards with ruination chambers.
Or 2-up save sometimes.
Or 2-up save sometimes.
Yeah, right. That's a good point.
So I have a feeling that the Stormcast list could just be I'm just going to stand on these points. What are you going to do about it?
Yeah.
And
And sometimes charge in and smack the crap out of you as well.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, dropping down and charging in too. So that's all is not lost for sure. I just think that we saw...
Oh, no, absolutely not. And I mean, don't forget, Severith does have Rend 3.
He does.
Yeah.
But that's one guy,
Yeah,
right?
that's true.
So you have one ranged hammer.
Yep.
That, how many shots? It's 4 attacks.
4 attacks.
3 + 1.
Yeah.
So he's doing a maximum of 16 damage, which is a lot.
Yep.
But
It sure is.
but that's the max.
Yep.
And he's not getting probably +1 to wound. I think we said that 2s and 3s is like roughly 55% of them are getting through.
Right.
So 2 or 3 of those are getting through on average.
Right.
So it means like 8 to 12 damage, and that's just getting to your save. Maybe you roll a 5 or a 6 up. Maybe you make that even less. Maybe you have ward rolls, because he doesn't ignore your ward, only the wind chargers do.
Right.
So there's play, I think.
I was never saying like all is lost, by the way.
I realized I was making it seem like I think this is the most broken thing ever.
No.
I
said from the beginning, like the rules are pretty wild, to be honest. But we don't know, we only know about like a couple other armies. We only know bits and pieces even of them. So nothing is even close to lost. Yeah.
And there's something similarly wild for Skaven, I think.
Yeah. No, agreed.
But anyway, we'll finish this off with the Stone Guard.
Yeah.
They have 2 health each, 4 up save. They have a standard bearer. They have a champion. They have their Stone Guard hammers, which are 2 attacks on 3s. 3s rend 1/2 damage. However, if you have Avalon nearby, he could be increasing that to 3 attacks. And then the Stone Mason, or Stone Mage, not Stone Mason, can be on a 3-up, increasing their rend by 1. So it could be 3 attacks, 3s rend 2 damage, which is like pretty slappy.
Yeah.
At that point. And then this unit has a 5-up ward while all of its models are contesting an objective that you control. Key thing about that is that you can't charge onto an objective and get your 5-up ward. This is basically if they're already sat on the objective that you control in that turn, then...
Oh, right.
So like you would have to have cleared somebody off of an objective.
Yeah.
Next turn starts because the objective swap would happen at the end of the turn.
Right.
And then in that turn, you would have your...
Assuming there isn't some kind of really crazy change to the rules. But the other thing to point out, too, is that it's not wholly within an objective. They just have to be contesting. Every model has to be just a tippy-toe on the objective. So that is, that is something, right?
It brings up a good point. Your move 4 inches.
4 inches is brutal. No.
That's
an understatement.
Fish off, though.
That's true. Then they're rocking 8-inch move. That's pretty good, actually.
It's pretty good.
Yeah.
And an interesting thing is that let's say you're going second.
Yep.
There's nothing stopping you from redeploying them forwards.
Yep.
Right?
Absolutely.
Because now we know that redeploy, you don't have to end within 9 inches to trigger it. It's just you can decide to do it. So you want to get some extra movement out of them, they can just go whoop and run a little bit forward, maybe even take an objective or something like that. So
right.
Azri brings up a good point too.
No, I was going to...
Objectives are much smaller now. Yeah. So.
That's true. But like wholly within is, I think a lot more difficult. Like a unit of 5 models to be wholly within, they have to move that much further and whatnot.
It's not wholly within the objective.
No, before it was.
Yeah.
Right? And they are bigger, but you have to just kind of move that much. I was just pointing out, like it's true that the objectives are way smaller now, but just having a tiptoe on there is a good quality of life change at the very least. Yeah.
I do like that all the models have to be touching it though, which means like if you pile off of it,
totally agree.
Suck.
Yeah.
And if you
charged, like you said.
If you charged, and then there's one more thing I was going to say, which is right now there's a couple of units like Raptidon Chargers, where you can have a unit of 10 Raptidons, and then one guy is just like farting on the point, and then the other ones are like extended maybe 12 inches away or something.
Yeah, that's true.
And they still have +1 damage.
Yeah.
I would prefer if it sticks to more like, okay, you truly have to be like on this objective if you want to get this bonus.
Totally agreed. Okay, no one cares about Lumineth. Moving on to Skaven. This is a Skaven podcast, after all. Okay. The Lurking Vermintide. Pick a friendly Skaven unit that has not been deployed. Set up that unit in reserve in the tunnels below. It has now been deployed. That's kind of like the Stormcast one. And then once per battle round, army start a battle round, Splinters of the Vermin Doom. You can use this ability if there are fewer than 3 friendly gnawholes on the battlefield. Set up a gnawhole on the battlefield more than 9 inches from all enemy units, more than 1 inches from all friendly units, more than 3 inches from all objectives and other terrain features. And so instead of getting 3 at the start of the game, now you can just do this once per battle round at the start of the battle round. And the Nahul's are really good now. Spoilers. And then we'll go to... Actually, we might as well go to Nahul Ambush. Pick a friendly Skaven unit that is in the tunnels below to use this ability effect. Set up that unit wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Nahul, more than 9 inches from all enemy units. And then I guess we'll go to once per turn. Always 3 claw steps ahead. This is so much better. It's not even close. Pick a friendly non-monster Skaven unit that is not in combat and was not set up this turn to use this ability. That unit can use the normal move ability as if it were your movement phase. So in your enemy movement phase, it's in the actual hero phase of your opponent. You can move a unit that's not a monster. That's freaking like so strong. I cannot even understate. Like, there's so many cool, tricky ways to use that.
I also like that it's just simple.
Yeah.
Like the current 3 claw steps ahead is
nonsense.
It's kind of annoying to explain to your opponent.
It's not kind of annoying. It's super annoying.
Okay.
Yeah.
But this is just like, I move in your turn.
Yeah. I move one unit in your turn that's not a monster.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's so good.
And they even actually kind of made that mistake during the stream. I remember Tom accidentally moved his Hell Pit Abomination.
I remember that too.
And then they walked it back, and yeah.
And then passive, too quick to hit. No mortal damage is inflicted on a friendly Skaven infantry and cavalry units by retreat abilities. This is super cool and thematic. They've always had stuff with retreating because they're cowards and whatnot. This is awesome. I really like it. That's how it should be. And also now it's infantry. It's not just like the stuff isn't just tied into clan rats and storm vermin only, where they're doing funky stuff like that. Yeah. Okay. Should we move on to the Gracier?
Let's do it.
Okay. Nothing like this. He hasn't really changed. He just doesn't have Wither on his War Scroll anymore. And yeah, he's got the Warpstone shards, and they much more clearly explain it. I think it used to be like tokens or something like that. But anyway, it's the same as before. You roll 3d6. If you get 13 altogether with all 3 dice, the spell goes off, and you inflict d3 mortal damage on this unit. And it can't be unbound, obviously. And if the casting roll is not a 13, remove 1 dice of your choice from the casting roll and use the remaining 2d6. I like that you get to pick it. It doesn't say like pick the 2 highest or something like that. Also, you can't modify or you can't re-roll it or modify it, which I wish you could modify it at least. So like if you had other casting bonuses, that would have been really cool, but it is what it is, Yeah. I don't think there's anything to write home about with this model. I'm definitely going to be, painting up the new guy, but I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's pretty cool. He's just a good caster.
He's just a good caster. Pretty, and I guess it is better now without the primal dice, So
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's one thing we have to kind of keep in mind too, is that all of these things we're seeing, like sometimes you see a casting value 8 spell and you're like, not a big deal. I'll just add a primal to it and go off. Not the case anymore. It's actually like unlikely that you're going to get that on 2d6. Or less likely than getting it, rather.
Totally. And then Claw Lord. This is my boy, okay? 7 wounds. Okay, he's pretty skinny, I guess. 9-inch move, 4-up save, 2 control. He has his rattling friggin' little Gatling gun thing. Rattling pistol, 10 inches. D6 attacks. Of course it's random. 3s and 3s, 1 rend, 1 damage. Crit, auto wound, and he can shoot in combat, which makes sense because it's like a pistol. Warp Forged Halberd, 5 attacks, 3s and 4s. Rend 1, 2 damage. Knobbeast Chisel Fangs, 4 attacks, 4s and 3s, -1 rend, D3 damage. He is a companion, which is the new mount, whatever, generalized keyword. While this unit is damaged, add 3 to the attack characteristic of the Warp Forged Halberd. Now we're starting to talk. Wounding on 4s is very concerning for me, because I can't roll 4s. I've proven this time and time again. But the model's the coolest thing they ever made. So,
yeah, but I kind of like what they published a whole article on this, right? Where they were saying like it should match what the thing is. So like a basic human should be hitting on 4s, wounding on 4s.
That's true.
And then it kind of gets better or worse depending on what it is.
He's a big, beefy claw lord. Like those guys are traditionally like the Skaven they vary a lot in size. This is just like, that's the only thing. I think the Gnawbeast Chiselfangs thing hitting on 4s is good because like they're mostly doing that for monsters and companions and things like that, right? But you know, it's fine. I'm okay. I'll cry later. So then the last thing is Cruel Commander. Pick a friendly non-hero Verminous infantry unit wholly within 13 inches of this unit to be the target. It's in your hero phase, by the way. So you got to be within 13 inches when you start your hero phase. But inflict 1 mortal damage on the target. Then add 5 to the target's control score until the start of your next turn. Sorry, it's a friendly. So you could basically just inflict 1 mortal damage on a unit of clan rats, and then you're essentially doubling their control score. So it's pretty good, you know, like it's a pretty good ability. But
yeah, I'd imagine just looking at this guy's war scroll, I'd imagine he's going to be cheap.
I think so too, and I think
that'll explain kind of like why
some of the
he's
decisions.
Not the biggest hammer, he's not like the biggest.
Right,
he can't really survive that well, and
he's only got seven health. Which is,
7 health on a 4-up is not great.
No, it's really not. You know, yeah.
That's like accidentally dying to screen. They spike.
Yeah, exactly.
Territory.
That's like just roll normal on your ogre charge rolls or whatever, and he'll probably die. You know, yeah. But anyway, I don't know. I'm gonna like probably bring him in everything unless I don't know. I'm probably just gonna bring him every time. Okay, then the Gnawhole. 6 health, 4-up save. It feels so weird saying that about terrain, but moving right along. Volatile ground. Models can pass through this terrain feature but cannot be set up or end moves on any part of this terrain feature. Each time an enemy unit ends a move that passed through or across this terrain feature, roll a d3 on a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage on that unit equal to the roll. So this is basically like the old dangerous ground kind of thing that was on the war scroll. Also, once the Endless Vermintide, this is where things get really good. Okay. Pick a friendly non-hero Skaven infantry unit that has been destroyed to be the target. Set up a replacement unit with half the number of models from the target unit, rounding up, wholly within 6 inches of a friendly Gnawhole and more than 3 inches from all enemy units. So it has to be infantry, but as we saw, Storm Fiends, as we know, rather, Storm Fiends are infantry, and Rat Ogres are infantry. So for 1 CP, you're just pooping out more. And that should complete everyone's bingo card, by the way. Also, Tunnel Through Reality. Pick a friendly Skaven unit that is not in combat and is wholly within 6 inches of this terrain feature to be the target. Remove the target from the battlefield and set it up wholly within 6 inches of another Gnawhole, more than 9 inches, of course, from enemy units. So this is basically the same as before, which means, yeah, like you can pop out. The only thing that's different now is you'll remove the terrain feature if you destroy them. So you can't come out them anymore once they're destroyed because they're not even going to be on the battlefield. But
which is a good thing, I think.
Oh, for sure. The other thing too, though, is like you're only gonna you won't be able to do this turn 1 because you're only going to have 1 on the battlefield.
Yeah. Is that true?
Yeah.
You start with just 1.
Well, yeah, because it's at the start of every turn if there's right.
Yeah, I don't know why I thought that you just set it up right away. I think you set up 3 right away.
No, I don't think so. Let's see. Splinter. So you can use this ability if there are 3 friendly Gnawholes, less or fewer than 3 friendly Gnawholes. So, yeah,
I don't think it exists in the context of what we've seen here. I think somewhere else.
Oh, maybe
you get to set up 3. I think.
But how would we?
Unless I'm crazy.
I think you're crazy.
Maybe someone in the chat can just,
yeah.
Someone in the chat can let us know. But there's a couple things that are important to note here. This is so when you use the Endless Vermintide, it's going to be Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Wait,
so
set up
Crunch and
3?
Leviticus they
Where does
do
it say
start
that?
with 3.
Where does it say that?
It doesn't say that anywhere here.
Then how do we know?
Because it would be somewhere else, because we watched the stream, right? He started with 3 on the battlefield.
I didn't remember him starting with 3, to be honest. I thought he started...
Yeah. And you just bring more back, is the thing. The important things to note, though, are that you bring them back at the start of the battle round. It's not at the start of your turn.
That's true.
So if you're going second, you have to bring it back
Yeah.
before you actually take your turn.
That's
which
true.
Which means that, let's say you have no Nahul's on the battlefield anymore.
Yep.
You have to set it up at the start of the new battle round. And then your opponent has a chance, if they're taking the first turn, to just go kill it. So you don't get to use your ability that turn.
It's pretty scary.
Because you have to use the Endless Vermintide at the end of your turn, actually. So your opponent even still has a chance to, like, maybe countercharge you and kill your terrain feature then or something. So there's some counterplay for sure.
Right.
But yeah, it's still super cool that you're
It
bringing
is.
stuff back. Like he had 6 Storm Vermin, brought back 3.
Yep.
Storm
Fiends.
Storm Fiends.
Yeah.
Sorry.
No worries. They said it on the stream too. I think the guy playing Skaven or maybe it was the announcer said Storm Vermin. It's a common thing.
Yeah. But I really like this reimagined version of Nahul's. It's really cool. And I like that I really like that you can just walk up and punch it off the table, essentially.
For all terrain now.
For all faction terrain. But I really appreciate that for, like, because it kind of sucks when it's just anytime you see something on the table that you can't interact with and you can do nothing about, it's just a feel bad moment. Yeah. And they've clearly taken that to heart, and now you see, terrain having health and a save. You see
it's not just monsters anymore.
Manifestations as well, where you can walk up and punch them off the table if you want to, or you can banish them too, regardless of if you're a priest or a wizard.
Yeah.
Like it's interchangeable.
That's true. And by the way, I think you guys might be right, and I hope you're right, obviously, because, like, I mean, just for obvious reasons, I really hope you're right. I do wish you still got, like, +1 to cast and unbind. I thought that, or not unbind, but I wish you had +1 to cast and prayers still, because, like, they're right next to this, like, warpstone, like, magical tunnel or whatever. It kind of made sense to me, but overall, this really nails the flavor. And I suppose you guys are probably right in regards to getting them for free. It'll probably be explained, like, wherever it explains, like, that you get them for free. Unless you have to pay points for them. But it's also possible that they just played it wrong on the stream, because, like, it's their first time.
Yeah.
But
also, Warpstone Enjoyer saying Seraphon huddled behind their Realm Shaper, now feeling the heat. 100%.
Yeah.
I hate that. Like, even at WCW, the guy, like, put the giant pyramid right between, like, 2 impassable terrain features, exactly 3 inches away, and he just looked at me and he's like, your Stonehorn can't go through here. And it's just like, thanks.
He looked you
I know.
Cold dead eyes. Yeah. I mean, I did that before with Nahul's too.
Totally. But it's nice to just move something out of the way.
Totally.
Instead of dealing with that annoyance.
I like it a lot. Clan Rats, this isn't very new. But, 5-up save. Everything's the same as before. 2 attacks now, though, which is different. They used to have 1 attack. They're still hitting on 4s, which they were before. Wounding on 5s, which is clearly a lot worse. Except, now, they crit auto-wound. So 6s automatically go through, and with the 2 extra attacks, they're putting through a lot more attacks, or damage, I guess, rather. You can return D3 slain models to this unit at the end of any turn. So this is still back. It's not like comparatively, it's not as good as it used to be in a weird way. Actually, you could kind of make the argument that it's both, because, like, you no longer have to deal with battle shock. We didn't see anything with battle shock during the stream, right? So it looks like battle shock is gone, and yet you can bring back D3. So that seems better, but before, the main strength of this ability was just fixing coherency. But that's no longer what you're going to be doing. 2 attacks is pretty great. I agree. And it's thematic. They're supposed to be like a seething horde of, you know what I mean? It's just, that's what it's supposed to be. It's just a bunch of, like, really crappy attacks, that might score a hit. Whoops. Moving right along, Verminlord Warpseer. I think that my current Verminlord Warpseer is my favorite painting that I've done out of the copious amounts of Verminlords that I have. But I think my new Verminlord Warbringer, I'm thinking he's going to be better. Maybe not. Anyway, I'm glad that this guy's good again. And I think the reason that he might be the best one too, because it's what the guy brought, but putting all that aside, 10-inch move, 13 health, same as before, 4-up save, same as before, 5 control, same as before because he was a monster. Doomglaive, 6 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 3 damage. So this is, the hitting on 4s is a little rough. He's a giant demon monster. I kind of hope that I wish that he would be hitting on 3s, because he's a giant manifestation. He should be kind of a badass. But he's wounding on 2s, and you can always give him the +1 to hit ostensibly, and then the 3 flat damage is clearly better. It's interesting, but anyway, the main use of this guy, I think, is as usual not in his attack profile. Define the future. Effect. While this unit is on the battlefield, add 2 inches to the distance friendly units can move when they use the always 3 claw steps ahead. So yeah, like that alone is just so good. You almost just want to take him for that.
Yeah. Moving 25% faster for your clan rats. Pretty spicy.
Yeah, exactly.
Or 33%.
33% faster. Yeah.
Yes.
Exactly. I knew what you meant. So then the hurl scry orb, pick an enemy unit in combat. So it has to be in combat. That's kind of wild. It used to be like an 8 or 9 inch range. And then it's you cannot use the future ability. So you're never, just as the same as before, you're never doing this. And other than like an absolute Hail Mary situation. But it's on a 2-up, inflict amount of mortal damage on the target unit equal to the roll. So like you could be doing like 6 mortal wounds in like an absolute dire situation. But I mean, I didn't use it once in AOS 2. I didn't use it once in AOS 3, and my money would be on that I never use it once in AOS 4.
Yeah, I think this is the mortal sin of a once per battle on a 2-up.
Yeah.
I think it should have just been deal d6 mortal damage. Makes the most sense.
Wait, isn't that what it is?
Nope. On a 2-up, inflict the amount of mortal damage to the target equal to the roll. So on a 1, it wouldn't do that.
Oh, you're saying like on a 1, it just does 1 mortal damage.
It doesn't do any mortal wounds.
No, like right now, but you're saying what it should be.
Yes. Yeah.
If it's going to be once per game, that's true.
The only situation I can think of to use this would be like, I know I can't kill that hero, or that hero is like a massive buff piece that's on like 1 wound remaining or something like that.
Yeah.
And killing it now would be a huge benefit to this combat phase, and it could swing the game in my favor.
Right.
More so than being able to move an additional 2 inches with 3 claw steps ahead.
Yeah.
That's when I would probably use it. But the fact that there's that like 16.66% chance that it just does nothing is awful.
If they're going to do it like this, like he's hurling his like crazy unstable scry orb at something. If they're gonna make it like this, make it like roll a 2-up and then it's 2d6 mortal wounds or something, like really like make me interested here. Otherwise it's the same as before. I'm probably never using it, but whatever, I guess, right? Arch Manipulator, pick an enemy unit in combat with this unit to be the target. On a 4-up, they strike last. Okay, pretty good. Basically like the tree ability from Sylvaneth.
Yep.
And then he has a spell, which is a 7, Tectonic Splintering. Pick a visible enemy unit within 18 inches to make the casting roll. It's pretty much the same as it is before. Subtract 1 from the dice rolled when making charge rolls to a minimum of 1. Only now you don't do d6 mortal wounds in addition. So it's like what the Lumineth one was before, only worse. Or does he have D3 mortal wounds right now? It used to be it was D6 back in AOS 2 for sure. I don't remember, but yeah. Or is it half? Or wait, no, maybe it's half your move right now.
Right now it is you're talking about Dreaded Warpgale?
Yeah.
Right now, Dreaded
Half
Warpgale is a
move.
spell that has a casting value of 8 and a range of 18 inches.
Right.
If successfully cast, pick one enemy unit within range and visible to the caster. That unit suffers d6 mortal wounds.
Right.
In addition, run rolls and charge rolls for that unit are halved into your next hero phase.
Oh, okay.
And if that unit can fly, it also cannot fly into your next hero phase.
Yeah, I think this is
So
significantly worse then.
it is significantly worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Although you know what, it is significantly worse. I will stand by that. Having said that, if you roll 2d6, you're averaging 7 and then halving that for 3.5 inches. Whereas if you're rolling one dice, it becomes anything. So that is like probably, yeah. But I don't know. Like, it doesn't fly. It doesn't fly anymore. You're losing d6 mortal wounds. Like, that's significant. Whatever.
Having the move is the big thing too, I think. Because it's like, not only can they not
that's
hit
true.
as easily, they
Yeah,
can't
that's
charge
true.
as easily. Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge. Yeah, screw that. It does go off on a 7 now. It's always been an 8. But it was also 26 inches, by the way, in AOS 2. So, ugh. Anyway, he is a 2 wizard, of course, 2 caster, same as now, and he has a 5-up ward, same as now. Nothing else. Monster, whatever. Master Molder. This guy, like, is so strong, but you won't know why until, like, later maybe. I don't know. I'm not even sure if we have that, but doesn't he have the recycle? Doesn't he have, like, a separate recycle thing?
I don't know.
Maybe I'm just combining stuff. Regardless, whatever. He's got 5 wounds, a 6-up save, 6-inch move. Same as before, 2 control. He's got 4 attacks on his, by the way, Arsenal of Mutation. So he's clearly getting a new model in case anyone wasn't, like, I've seen so many people, like, there was a post on the Skaven, and I'm not throwing any shade at him, but, you know, they were going like, so I guess we're, like, losing a bunch of models because they're showing the old model here. And I'm like, they're not going to reveal, you know, and people said this during the stream too, but they're not going to reveal the new model on a warscroll card during the live stream. Like, they're going to wait for that. They have to put on the old model, which is Squeal Gnawtooth. So anyway, this is awesome. We're clearly getting a new model, and I can't wait to see it. Lord of Flesh Grafting. Pick another friendly molder unit, wholly within 3 inches. Another unit, by the way. You can't do it on himself. Heal 3 on the target.
Yeah, also 13 inches, not 3 inches.
Sorry, did I say 3? I'm sorry.
Target.
And then Tyrannical Packmaster. Pick another friendly molder unit. Oh, by the way, it says molder unit now, too. That's really exciting because you can use it on the Hell Pit Abomination. A lot of the stuff before was like molder fighting packs versus molder units and whatnot. And same thing here with the Tyrannical Packmaster. Add 2 to the charge rolls. It used to be 3, but it was only on molder pack units. So it only covered rat ogres, essentially. And now it's just molder. By the way, Storm Fiends have the molder keyword. So you can heal your Storm Fiends. You can add 2 inches to their charge if you want. You can also add 2 inches to your charge on the Hell Pit Abomination, which we saw during the stream, which is really freaking awesome. So you can teleport him. There's so many shenanigans to be had here. Yeah. Oh, and by the way, it's end of the turn. Another exciting thing, because it used to all the healing stuff used to be at the start of the turn, and this is going to be so much better, like way freaking better. Yeah, this guy's exciting. I was going to pick him up. I had him with me forever, but he's now in the studio. Anyway, Hell Pit Abomination. Okay, the most hype thing about this War Scroll is easily the fact that it says move 5 inches plus d6. like the minimum of 6-inch move is so freaking exciting. It's crazy. 14 health, same as now. 5-up save, same as now. 5 control, same as now. This is kind of where things get really interesting. It is Gnashing Teeth and Flailing Fists. He went from 6 attacks on one profile and 6 attacks on another profile. To 4s, or 13 attacks rather. They got to just throw in the 13, you know. 4s and 2s, pretty normal. Rend 2, 2 damage, and then anti-infantry, so you get an extra rend if they are if they're infantry. I don't get what the companion thing means, because
maybe there's a thing where like some benefits can't apply to companions, and it's just explicitly opting them out of that. I think it's the only bad thing, to be honest.
My thought was, what if you can like mount a Master Molder on a Hell Pit Abomination?
Yeah,
that would be so much fun. But you're probably right. It's probably just something really lame and annoying. Battle damaged. If it has taken 10 or more wounds, then you only get 8 attacks. So you lose a little more than 33% of your attacks. Once per turn, army, any combat phase, pick an enemy infantry unit. It's it's like a slightly different Avalanche of Flesh roll. Roll a dice on a 3-up. I don't like how they're doing this either, by the way. But now it's no longer like it used to be. Within 3 inches, you roll 1 dice for each person, depending on your health chart. Most of the time, you're rolling on a 2-up. You did 1 mortal wound for each one. Now it's just like you can just slightly get into the unit, and then on a 3-up, you're doing a horde clearing spell, which is a 5-up. A roll of 5-up gets you 1 mortal wound for each unit for each model in the unit. This is one of the more exciting bits, though, is he heals D6 at the end of any turn. Every turn he's healing 6. And then with the Master Molder nearby, he's healing 3 plus D6. And as we saw on the channel, he was just you got to kill him off, or he can get with a decent roll, he's getting a lot of wounds back. This is really good. And then he's got 2 horrible to die. I think this is the same thing as before. So 1, he just dies. On a 2 through 4, he does D3. Roll a D3 for each enemy unit in combat with this unit. On a 2-up, inflict an amount of mortal damage equal to the roll. I think it was...
That's just a debuff. Right now it's just a flat... Just D3 mortal wounds happens.
But I think it's all enemy units, and now it's only enemy units. It's all units, and now it's only enemy units.
Yeah, that's true. So you can't hurt yourself with this.
That's nice. I actually don't like this change just because it's less thematic. He should be hurting everyone. The rats explode. Like, what do they care? They're not gonna only target. I think this is it's kind of NPE when you're playing the army, when your own guys are dying or whatever. But the Skaven know not to get near a Hell Pit Abomination. What is? I mean, I guess the Master Molder nearby. I don't know. Even if it was just Molder units or something, it would be better. But putting that aside, it makes it less complicated. And then on a 5 or 6, this unit is not destroyed, and any remaining damage points inflicted on it have no effect. Then heal D6, and then at the end of the turn, it's healing D6 plus possibly 3. You can get this thing back to full health. Or wait, could you? Yeah, you could. Yeah. Anyway, it's rad. This is cool. I've got a reason to paint up another one. I've got another one new on Sprue, so I might be for shits and giggles, I might be running 3 of these things because that would be cool.
Yeah, they are super cool.
Cool. Could you do the Storm Fiends? My throat is getting sore.
Can't do. I've been lubricating my throat up with this.
I want to do them all.
Water. Yeah, I kind of want to do, but yeah, I'm happy to step in.
Actually, you know what? Screw it. It's Skaven.
Oh, okay.
6-inch move, 6 health, same as before. 4, 2 control, blah blah blah. Rattling cannons used to be 12 inches. They were 3d6. I think they were 4s and 3s, or were they 3s and 3s? I think they're 4s and 3s. Thank you. 1 rend, 1 damage. I really, and I still believe that they weren't that great, But putting that aside, wind launchers are currently 3 attacks, but they're currently 24-inch range, I think. 4s and 3s, 2 rend. Yeah, this is all this. Oh no, are they 3 rend? I think they're 3 rend.
They're 3 rend now.
Yeah, so they clearly wanted to make these things not good anymore.
Rattling cannons are also 3s and 3s right now.
Okay, actually that rings a bell. So then, warp fire projectors are 10-inch range, from 8. 2d6 attacks, 2s and 4s, rend 2, 1 damage. I love this change. It's so much better and thematic, and I think it's great. Then the melee weapons are Doomflayer Gauntlets, 5 attacks, 4s and 2s. 2 rend, D3 damage, plus 1 damage on the charge. Grinder Fists, no one's taking Grinder Fists, but they're 4 attacks, 4s and 2s, 2 rend, 2 damage. And it also allows you to deep strike the unit, basically. Shock Gauntlets, 4 attacks, 4s and 2s. 1 rend, 2 damage, and they have the 6 does D6 hits effect still. So, oh geez, sorry. Okay, sorry. No one heard that but me, I assume, but my headset was like, auto shutdown enabled. And I was like, what's going on?
Sorry, I gotta talk more. I'm sorry.
No. It's, I have to, like, if I don't, it just does it automatically. I hate this headset. Anyway, so it does the D6 exploding hits on, I think, Shock Gauntlets. I've always liked Shock Gauntlets, especially before in AOS 2, because you could put more and more warp power on them and get re-rolling full hit rolls and wound rolls, and then they became really good. But they're 1 rend, 2 damage, and then clubbing blows are for on everything that has shooting attacks. They're down. They're the same profile, except they were 4s and 3s and no rend, and they lost an attack, right? And then it's the same composition as before. We don't need to cover all this, but Shock Gauntlets, I'll read it out just in case. The attack scores on a 6 to hit. That attack scores D6 hits on the target unit instead of 1. It's not additional hits, so you could end up with just 1. But it is what it is. Make a wound roll for each. And then the Grinder Fist has the same thing as before. I do think that this unit seems more attractive, but we'll really have to see what the points are, as always, right?
I think the big thing is actually that because the Master Molder is giving +2 to charge to all Molder units, this coming in from Deep Strike at 9 inches is actually very enticing.
It is.
Rolling a 7, like with a reroll charge too, which we know is already a thing, is pretty dang good. And, these guys can slap hard in melee. You want them to be charging.
You could be like, you could make the argument that, like, I still think I like the shooting ones, to be honest. But you could make the argument that, like, a unit of melee ones is maybe a lot more attractive now.
Yeah, and I think with the novels, when you bring them back, it's rounding up, right?
It is rounding up, I believe. I'm almost positive.
So if you bring a unit of 3, you're getting 2 out of 3 back anyway.
Let's make sure. Pick a friendly set up a replacement unit with half the number of models from the target unit, rounding up.
Yeah. So something that I would like to do is just like, run a Master Molder like somewhat close to them.
Right.
Or where they're going to be. They've got 100% melee kit, and it's just a unit of 3.
Yep.
And then just throw them into your opponent.
Yep.
And
the only downside though that should probably be pointed out is, like, if let's say you make a melee unit, they have to be 1 Doomflayer Gauntlet, 1 Grinder Fist, and 1 Shock Gauntlet. So, although,
what's wrong?
Oh, wait a second. Oh no, they wouldn't. Sorry. It's either Warp Fire or Wind Launchers, so you can't have them only be melee.
Yeah.
And then,
oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah, and then it's either Doomflayer or Shock Gauntlets. Ugh. So basically, if making them the most melee possible, you do Warp Fire Projectors just because that's better, and then you have the clubbing blows in addition to that, right? And then you have Grinder Fists, which are definitely the worst profile on there, other than, of course, the stupid clubbing blows. And then you have the Shock Gauntlets, which were like the one good one for me, like the one really good one. I don't know. I think I might. I don't know. I mean, I've got like 18 of them, and like half of them are new on sprue, so maybe I'll just, we'll see. I see what you're saying though, and I don't disagree. I think there's play here. Wounding on 2s is pretty good, they're all hitting on 4s. I don't know, Carson. I don't know. Warplock Jazales.
I don't know why.
Oh baby, 2 wounds, 4 health, 1 control. Okay, whatever. They're 6-inch move. Who cares, right? 24-inch range on their shooting attack. They lost 6 inches, but like I thought they were going to lose more. to be honest. Like, they just seem to be really shortening stuff. So 2 attacks, 4s and 3s, Rend 2, 2 damage, crit, auto wound. And yeah, if this unit has not used a move ability this turn and was not set up this turn, add 1 to hit rolls for this unit's shooting attacks for the rest of the turn. So then they'll be hitting on 3s and 3s, 2 rend, 2 damage. They used to do 2 mortal damage on 6s instead of the auto wound. So I don't know. This is...
Yeah, I mean, there's pluses and minuses, right? Like, we know with the Warlock Engineer, he is going to give these guys the ability to snipe heroes.
That's true.
Which is pretty huge. I would trade that personally for the mortal damage. Actually, maybe I wouldn't. I don't know. But
yeah,
still, everything depends on points. We did see that there is a Scryer ability, which I think is something you get to pick. It might be a sub-faction, perhaps, where like you can divvy out basically +1 to wound.
We did see that.
3 units, I think.
Yep, 3 units.
Right? So then these guys are hitting on 3s and 2s instead of 3s and 3s if they haven't moved.
It's like on a roll of 1, you take D3 damage, and then on a roll of 2 through 5, I want to say. Right? Was that on here?
It's not on here.
Okay.
I can't remember where it was. I just remember it being talked about.
Right.
That is something to consider, and we're probably going to see it tomorrow, to be honest.
That's true. That's true. Yeah, I think they showed it during the stream, but
I might have just missed it.
That's fair.
Then Keith says mortal wound whistle weapons was one of the most common complaints I saw in AOS discussions.
That's true.
I think the crit auto wound was their answer for that. I agree. Like, I think about anything that people have been complaining about in the past. Like, you have Blitzbarb archers that are going to be doing mortal wounds on 6s when Slaanesh gets enough temptation points. You've got the whole Fusiliers debacle was a thing.
Yeah.
Cruel Boy is the whole thing.
It's a great point. And I think, hopefully the points will reflect this as well. Having said all of that, I would have liked to have seen an additional pip of rend plus the auto wound, or something that represents the the warpstone bullets like getting into your body or something. I'm very thematic. Like I said earlier, like I was like, yeah, they shouldn't have removed the doing damage to your own units for Skaven when your Hell Pit Abomination blows up and turns into a pile of rats. Like, for me, it's mostly about the feel. You know what I mean? The flavor and whatnot. By the way, about the Storm Fiends, so there's a lot of like anti-infantry stuff in this game. So, like, because they're infantry, that does hurt them, and same with the Jezzails. But it also means that they can be brought back with your Skaven abilities. So it's kind of like a double-edged sword in that. I just wanted to mention that. Hopefully, these guys also have a unit champion, by the way. And we know that they can be reinforced. They don't, hey? That's so weird. Or I guess it doesn't matter. Does it not matter anymore? Do you not need a unit champion to give orders, like all-out attack and stuff?
No. Unit champion. I think there's a specific thing that unit champion means now, which is like +1 to their attacks or something.
Wait. Oh, yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. So like the unit champion, same as before, where they used to get an additional attack, but like there's no like downside in terms of like not being able to do all-out attack anymore.
I seem to recall that. Yeah, that's not the case.
Okay.
You're just like commands are just happening. They're not being issued by someone specifically, and they're not being. Well, they're being received by a specific unit, obviously, but yeah.
Right. I hope that's the case. By the way, Warpstone said it's because rat recognizes rat. I mean, I'm taking these models. The models are some of my favorite they've ever made. So, yeah. And that's all we have for the Skaven. So the only 2 things left to talk about were just the reveals that we watched the live stream, and my audio cut out. I was throwing money at the screen, and things were whatever. But we've also had a chance to just kind of look at the models at our leisure, and we did like a poll during the live stream, and people were saying their favorite models and stuff like that. But I just thought it'd be fun. Because a lot of people didn't see that. And then, like I can see some people kind of thinking like, oh, well, you guys like, like if I'm not watching it live, I don't need to watch your reactions to something that I can just check out on the community page or whatever. You know what I mean? So I thought we might just talk about the new models. I'd love to hear what you guys thought of the new models too. It was kind of at a weird time and not everyone could be there, but yeah, Keith, they weren't in AOS 1. And then they were... sorry, I'm going back to an earlier comment that I missed. I'm sorry, I've not been great about the comments tonight. Because there's so much to go through. But he was saying Storm Fiends are still pick and mix. It's because the unit comes with, like, you have to build them a certain way. So when I originally got them, I converted them all to be warp fire throwers, you know? And it didn't occur to me that they were just going to change that at some point. And then they did. And I was just like, oh, crap. And then I had to, like, you know, walk back some of my conversions. But yeah, I don't think that's going to change, unfortunately. I really wish it would, but yeah, is what it is. What did you think of? I know I was there during the reveal stream, but what did like you now that you've had a moment to digest the Stormcast models? What do you think about them? I've got the Lord Vigilant on Griffstalker up right now.
The Stormcast model specifically, I think were all awesome.
Yep.
I kind of liked that they had the one model that was just like not like the others, which I forget what it was, but it like almost looks like something from Conan.
Yeah. The Excelsior, I want to say.
I'm not sure, but
Night
I feel like
Quester.
that one's the Night Quester. I feel like that one has kind of grown on me weirdly.
Yeah,
dude, he's just hanging out, like going on quests and having fun. When all these other ones are like, I've forgotten what it means to be sad. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. And it's just grimdark and awful. And
right.
I've seen a couple of people say that, like, part of the reason why they got into Stormcast is because they kind of they were like hope, right?
Yeah.
They're hopeful, they're like heroic, and it's not grimdark, kind of like 40k is.
Right.
Ruination Chamber definitely is leaning into a little bit more like 40k-ish grimdark.
For sure.
And I see why they're doing that, right?
Yeah.
You know, there's plenty of people in 40k that probably are looking for something grimdark in AOS, and I think only time will tell. If these models sell like hotcakes, then we'll probably see more of them for Stormcast. But I do think I like that the Night Quester the best, where it's just like it just looks like an 80s like adventure. Like it
looks like Conan with armor on. Conan the Barbarian.
Exactly. Yeah, which I like. It's kind of nice that it's not just like a loincloth muscled up, you know, greased up warrior. It's just like,
I mean, that's pretty good too.
Look like. That's pretty good too, but this is what it would look like in real life, where they actually have armor and it matters.
For sure. You know what I hope though? Like, I hope that you can also, I hope there's an alternative sculpt where he's holding not a torch. I don't think there will be. But yeah, this, like, what's funny is I've seen a lot of people say that this is their favorite model from the reveal. I'm a huge, like, mount guy, and this guy was the most popular during the live stream, the dude on Griffstalker, the Lord Vigilant on Griffstalker. He just is my favorite, and I like that the axe is got, like, a little bit, just a slight curve to it, it looks like a wood chopping axe, you know? I'm not like a huge fan of the pose off to the side, but when you grip a big ass axe like that, a bearded axe, by like almost the very end of the axe, it shows like the power. You know what I mean? Like he's wielding that thing like it's a Nerf toy, like a Nerf sword or something like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you must have basketballs for deltoids.
Yeah. And forearms, man. Like that's some forearm power there too. Like I mean, it's biceps and triceps too. Like that's arm power. You know what I mean? Like a lot of people probably don't know. Like there's this thing called a suburito in kendo, what you use, and it's for strengthening your arms when you're you swing your, like normally you swing your shinai to like practice. And you know, build up your muscles, but they sell this thing called a suburito, which is this giant wooden sword, and like the handle's like this, and then it goes whoosh out, and it's just like this big plank, right, that you use for swinging. It's like what they do, you know, in baseball when they have those weighted baseball bats. Anyway, like, yeah, it's this guy is, you know, he's strong. Let's just say it that way. And then My second favorite, or no, so I love this guy too. The blind swordsman with the flaming sword. I don't know what it reminds me of, like almost like a combination of like Zatoichi and like Game of Thrones or something like that. But like, I don't know. He's dope. I don't remember. They didn't say if he's a priest or something, right? Like I get that vibe from him.
I think it's supposed to be that he's like anti-magic, isn't he? Like
oh,
a wizard hunter.
okay. That's cool. I like that.
Yeah.
It would make sense if he was like a priest. You know what I mean? He looks very zealous, I guess. You know, with the big torch and the flaming sword. Like all of it just kind of has this sort of religious vibe to it. Or it's slipping out of his hand. Yeah, or it's like when he's throwing it by accident. He was trying to do a cool pose to the side, you know, Fashion Week, or whatever. Snaps his fingers and then he just throws it.
Slams on the ground.
Yeah,
like, oh,
he just throws it and embeds it into his buddy's head. That'd be a good outtake, you know.
yeah. At least he's Ruination Chamber. He won't remember this.
Yeah, neither will his buddy with the axe in his head. Yeah. He's going to start talking funny, though. The Lord Terminos, though, my God. This model. This is one of the coolest, like, foot heroes they've ever done.
Yeah, this is the most Dark Angels thing to happen to Stormcast.
Oh, baby. Yeah, that's true. Especially with his... what did Rob Taunts call him? His, oh, shoot. What's the thing when you have a pet that's, like, for your, like, emotional needs?
Familiar?
No.
Emotional support?
Thank you. Yes. Yeah, Rob Taunts called these guys their emotional support humans. And I was just like, mwah. Because they're from the old folks' home or whatever, I guess. They're forgetting things.
Yeah.
And so they just need
hey,
their...
buddy.
Yeah.
Want some frankincense? How's it going?
Want to go kill some chaos? Yeah. It is a very cool classic fantasy pose. I think some people aren't going to be happy because a lot of people don't... Or not a lot of people, but I've heard some people opine that they don't like the closed stance. You know, I think this might be a really good model to not glue to the base and then paint. It'll be a lot easier, but I don't know. I think he's freaking badass, though.
That's right. The lore is that he brings the proper death to his own guys. Yeah, that's brutal.
Really?
Yeah, it's supposed to be that, like, when the Ruination Chamber Stormcast get too messed up,
yeah,
he, like, executes them for real, essentially.
Whoa, man, that is sick. I don't know, like, how on earth they're going to translate to that some kind of in-game play, like rules or whatever. But, like, oh man, that is so badass. True death. Sheesh. That's cool. Thanks, Alex, for telling us. And then we got Conan again. And then we got the Reclusians, which we already saw. The Prosecutors, which we already saw. And the Liberators, which we already saw. So the only thing, like, properly revealed during the stream were the heroes, essentially. I guess. Right? Actually, no, we didn't see the... what are they called? During the stream, we did see the Prosecutors with the face helm. The full helms on. So...
Yep.
That was cool.
Yeah, that was nice.
Okay. Should we leave all this unimportant stuff behind?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. Now what's important is the Skaven. It's always what was important, but now you all need to look at the screen and worship these amazing sculpts. What the F? This Clawlord on Gnawbeast is, I think, my favorite sculpt they've ever made. I'm trying to think. I'm not saying it's the best. Like, I realize that Gnawbeast is something only a mother and father could love. You know what I mean? Like, that thing is going to creep a lot of people out. But it's so sick. The Warp Halberd, like, if I had to pick one single thing, the blade on the Warp Halberd is maybe my favorite. Because it's just, like, so clearly made out of, like, pure warp stone or something like that. I can't wait to paint it. The other things to like talk about is his back. He's got like the spikes on his back, and there's a couple skulls on there, and I think they're trying to do reminiscence of Queek Headtaker, the old fantasy character. But yeah, he's got chunks of warpstone in his flesh. He's got like one weird horn growing out the side. So really badass full armor. I actually thought they might give him a 3-up save, because traditionally he had like a shield, and I thought I could see it happening, but they didn't. He's freaking awesome. I don't really know what else to say. Yeah. You just triggered my spite. It made it very difficult to not close the stream. I'm sorry. I'm not really sorry, but I'll say I'm sorry. Lord Veritant was a priest that could unbind a spell. Oh, that's interesting. Is that because of like the saying it's not important? I mean, like, I'm just speaking my truth, I've waited a long time, Keith. I'll say what I say. So actually, here you haven't spoken about this Claw Lord on Knobbeast.
And I shall not. No, I think it looks excellent. It looks like something that I would love to paint. Just like lots of fur, lots of flesh, armor. It's got just like a little bit of everything.
Right.
The only weird complaint is that I have, or the only weird complaint I have is that I actually don't like his halberd.
Really?
Yeah, and the reason for that is because I think it actually almost looks exactly like there's the orc. What just came out? It was the Ardboy Big Boss, I think. Or like something has like a rock looking like glaive at the end, and that looks exactly the same. And for some reason I don't like that.
That's fair. Yeah. I've always wanted them to do this. Like that was one of my complaints before, and like something I've actually said in the past was like the blades on their warp forged weapons should look like more warpstony. They shouldn't just look like a regular blade. And this is actually exactly how I kind of envisioned it. But I also like how the halberd staff part isn't straight. I like that it's wobbly and it has a wrap in the middle. I'm not wild about the little like hook on the end, but I think it gives it better symmetry. The halberd looks like it's prone to snapping, as it probably should. Like they shouldn't have like, like he's a rat, so he shouldn't have like this thick staff on it either, because they have small little rat hands, like me. So I think that, yeah, I don't know. This model, yeah, I mean, like, and that's totally fair about your complaint. Yeah, I love it. The only thing, no, you know what? No, I think it's perfect. The only thing I don't like is it'll probably be push fit or whatever with the things.
Probably, yeah.
I'm going to cut those off and whatever, but yeah. Because it's the start of the set, yeah. So now the Grey Seer. The Grey Seer is freaking amazing. Oh, it's my reaction to being told to do something or peer pressure. Right. That's true. That you're right to feel that way. You're right to feel that way, Keith. This Grey Seer is also amazing. He's on like a shattered bell. That's perfect. He's perfect. I love it. He's got the dagger from like the old fantasy battles. He's got like the crotch armor, talbert thing going down the side. Lots of wispy cloaks. The Grey Seer symbol finally on a Grey Seer on his staff. I don't know. He's kind of perfect. Like, I'm not really sure what to say.
Yeah, I kind of agreed during the stream where like he is almost exactly the same like silhouette as a Grey Seer. He's very distinctly a Grey Seer still. Yeah. They just upped the quality and like all the little details. If you zoom in on all like the tiny rats that are running out of the cracked belt that he's standing on, like the detail on those is super high and they look amazing. Super like good. Yeah, it's just a really good kit. Beautiful.
Rat ogres are perfection. Like, I think that's obvious. They are Magneto. They're beefy. The War Scrolls is the one disappointment, being 3 wounds. They're, like, that model is so big, and they had 6 wounds in 2nd edition, or 2nd and 3rd edition. Oh, no, wait. It doesn't matter. Putting that aside, Now they have 3 models, so the same total amount of wounds, but I was just hoping that they were going to be, intimidating. They're bigger than Kroxigor, so they should probably have at least the same amount of wounds as them. Sorry, did I say 3 wounds? They're down to 4 wounds now. Same as trolls. Yeah. Rogers, exactly. This is I like how beefy their hands and stuff are, the way they've done the weapons, the warp stones stuck into their bodies. This helmet is sort of reminiscent of one of the what's his name, Bone Ripper head variants that you can use. This guy's awesome too. Oh man, I like this guy with his claw hand and big beefy punching arm, and he's got, like, you can't see it here, but he's got like a blade that sticks backward on his other arm. This guy and the first guy are my 2 favorites, but they're all super awesome. I'm just not like totally, completely, and utterly in love with this guy's head. That's the one downside. He looks, I don't know. It is very ogre meets a rat, I guess. So I don't know. I just think the other 2 are a little bit cooler, but they're awesome. I hope this is a full kit. Oh, I did notice, by the way. I did not notice this during the stream. Breaking news. The kit that comes in this is going to be the full kit for Clan Rats. Not for these. Sorry. I waited way too long. I paused way too long in between those 2 statements. But first, so don't let me forget to talk about that, but what did you think about Rogers?
I thought they were great. Right now they're kind of just like lumps, and yeah, they brought them up in quality super nicely.
These are even better than the Island of Blood ones, which people like.
Yep.
And a lot
thumbs up.
Cool. The Rattling Warp Blaster is perfection again. I like that it's got kind of a Doom wheel, or a Doom buggy, like bigger front wheel on it, There's guys pushing it. So it's, I don't know. Like you said during the stream, the leaking warp fuel kind of thing in there. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say what I like most about it, but yeah, I don't know. It's so awesome. It's super cool. Yeah.
Also excellent. Yeah, it all looks great.
The DACA tricycle. Yeah, that's what I might be calling it from now on. For me, the mount is a touch too emaciated, as I think the word you're looking for. I don't think it divorced its parents, but given a bit almost FEC vibes. I know what you mean, Ludivicus. I kind of like I kind of was like a little bit in that boat, but I like that it's, I don't know, like, it's not just like an emaciated wolf rat. It's more like, it's kind of, it's got like the weird like curved teeth. He's talking about the Knobbeast, by the way. I know what you mean. To each their own, you know what I mean? Like, and you might be able to like do a conversion or something like that too. But yeah. By the way, the clan rats that are, or whatever, that are on here pushing the tricycle, like the detail on them is amazing too. Like a lot of like fur, like I really like that guy here. But yeah. Oh man, this is so cool. Okay. The Warlock Engineer we already saw as part of the preview, and then the clan rats. Now, I don't know if I can show... Oh, by the way, this is the guy I was talking about during the live stream, who's like hopping forward, and he's got his hand down. Very dynamic. And I thought that was really cool. But yeah, let's see if I can find the Warlock Giselles we already saw. Okay, so it's not here, but just let me cook for a second. Shoot. I think this is the one. So luckily I kept that open. There's like a shot. We got a shot at one point of all the clan rats together in a great big pile. Here we go. This is it. Okay. So, if you look at the bottom left side of the screen, on the very bottom left, you see the claw leader, right? And then, if you look, let's see here. Where is the other guy? It is... Basically, if you look, I can't find him right now for some reason, but there is another...
Isn't he middle right?
Oh, is that him? No, because that guy's left foot is sticking forward, whereas this guy's right foot is sticking forward. Or unless we're talking about two different guys.
I was just going based on the helmet. I'm not sure.
Oh, I see. Yeah, what you're saying. But this guy's head though is slightly down, and that guy's head is slightly up. But putting that aside, I can actually still make the same point. Let me know, guys, if you find him. I found him like before, but now I'm not seeing it, of course. But if you look at the bottom, so third from the bottom left, see that there's a guy with the spike club, right? That's the banner guy who's in the very middle of the screen. And then if you look at the banner guy on the left here, there's another guy somewhere on here, right, that doesn't have the banner. So, like, this has to be the full kit then, because you can build them a couple of different ways. It's not like push fit. So I think this is like the Hobgrots from Dominion. So this is kind of good news and bad news, because, like, we know we're getting a full Clan Rat kit, obviously. Right? So I personally was kind of hoping it's more like the Gut Rippers from Dominion, where you have like a full kit in there, but then you also get the there's also like another separate kit. That way there's just variety. But considering there's going to be 40 of these guys in every box, maybe it's best. And we've also got the old Clan Rats that we can use, you know what I mean, for variety. So regardless though, like all of these poses are they're very dynamic. They're a lot cooler than the old ones. And the old ones were fine, but they had to be like, you had to be able to rank them up on 20 millimeter squares. And that really, hammed them in for what they could do with the poses. Yeah. Like, I know like a lot of people are like, they're just Clan Rats, but like they're like, I was kind of going like, they don't need to. I know they're going to replace the Clan Rats. I've been saying this for years. They're going to replace the Clan Rats because they're Clan Rats. Like, this is, if they're in the launch box, they're gonna do it. But I didn't think they were gonna look this good. I thought they were gonna be like a slight mark up from the current ones. It didn't occur to me that there would be this much like detail in terms of the fur. And like people like a lot of people hear detail for battle line on like a horde battle line, and they're like, ugh, I don't want to paint it. But like, there isn't really anything more to paint. It's just like there's more detail to the fur, so it's just going to take to dry brushing better. You know what I'm saying? Like that kind of thing is really, yeah. I'm so excited. I think this reveal. Oh, there he is. There he is. Sorry, top middle is the guy on the bottom left. Is the pack leader. You can see because of the shield, yeah, and the legs are the same. The body's the same. It's just the head and the arm. But yeah, so anyway, breaking news, you get the full kit in the box, and that's super exciting and awesome.
Yeah, looking at this, I see two things. Number one is that I don't see a single Clan Rat that looks like the same as any other ones.
Yeah.
And with there being 40 of them, that's a really good sign. And number two is these guys aren't in coherency, actually. With the new coherency rules, it's half an inch, so they're definitely not half an inch apart.
Carson.
So they have to start removing models right away.
He's right, guys. Even on my screen, even like half a browser, they're not in coherency.
They're not.
Idiots. Although, if they were, we wouldn't be able to see the models properly at all. But yeah, they're beautiful. Is that a Clan Rat with a gaff hook? Yeah, my favorite is the one with like almost a nunchuck almost near the middle of the screen. I pointed him out during the live stream, but he's got like a spiked nunchuck, essentially, like with a very short chain on it or something. And I think that's delightful, you know, just as likely to hurt himself with it as anyone else. But that's so sick, you know. I like that I think that the idea behind that thing, by the way, is so you just kind of go as high as you can, and then it hits the shield and just goes into their back. You know what I mean? And then you lose that weapon. Like, you're never seeing that weapon again. But you got your hit in, you know? Yeah.
And that's all that matters.
That's all that matters. You're a clan rat. Yeah. There are a few that look the same. They're just painted them different colors. Is there anyone who's, like, actually the same? Maybe.
Oh
yeah,
left,
yeah.
And so there's middle left, and then like kind of bottom right-ish, but kind of in the center. Those two look pretty similar. Like, you have to really look is the thing. Whereas like when you look at the unit as a whole, you're like, yeah, that's just 40 different rats.
Yeah, it's so true. Like, and if you look at the guy one down from the top left, and then you go four guys to the right. The one who's crouched over with the triangular shield. But like what you said is so true. Like yeah, and I think like even the nunchuck guy is probably the same, spiked nunchuck guy, but they just like turned him slightly, painted him slightly different colors, and I didn't notice that either. It might just be like the musician, the banners. I don't know. There's a decent amount of variety. It might be more like the Idnith kit where like half of them, you know, can be made as different models. Yeah, exactly. You don't lose 2/3 of them to Battle Shock anymore. That's super true. No, I think stocks on Clan Rats are going way up. But there's also, like, if you look at the top right, there's a bell musician guy, and then like 2 down from him, there's a drum musician guy. You know, and those are two different completely bodies, right? So, yeah, I think there's a good amount of variety in here, even if they're not 100% like all buildable as some, and they might be. They might have just like not been paying attention when they built them. Like, that's actually a possibility, right? But yeah, anyway, they're so cool. This is easily the best box they've ever made all time. I'm going to say that. Flat out. It's the best box they've ever made.
Bold statement. But I think for AOS, I'd have to agree.
I think for fantasy and 40K, this is the best thing they've ever made.
I mean, I recognize I'm biased because I like AOS the most, so I would agree that it is the best they've ever made, but that's probably because I'm an AOS fan.
Well, also, like, their sculpts get better and better as they go along.
100%.
So, like... Yeah. You know, I think the boldest statement of that is that it beats like Indomitus and like Leviathan, like 40K stuff. But but obviously I'm biased because it's rats and it's also fantasy, you know.
Yep. So. That's true.
Yeah. Yeah, the only downside to them, like the only downside to this is like if you get like the Leviathan, for example, you get like a unit of 10 Termagants and Barbgaunts or whatever, but then you also, like, at least for the Termagants, have a full kit that you can pick from as well. So I think that's, you know, like the one, you know, maybe downside to it. But I don't know, like, the value you're getting in this box is going to be insane, provided it's not like stupid for price. We've heard Island of Blood was killer. It was, but the sculpts are so much better now. Also, like, Island of Blood, they intermixed, like, the elf sprues with the Skaven sprues, and that is, like, one of the singular dumbest things they've ever done. Also, if you look at, like, the comparison between, like, the Island of Blood rat ogres or rogers were the best rat ogres we've ever had until these ones. And these ones are way better than those. And I love those ones. Like, I've got them, but, like, they're so much bigger and dynamic. Like, the only downside to this that I could say over, like, Island of Blood, for example, or whatever, is that, you know, there is some, what do you call it? Like, models are getting more detailed. And some people don't like that. You know, some people want to keep things simple, and that's fair enough. It does take more time to paint them. But having said that, like, god dang. Like the Jezzails, like Island of Blood had a couple of weapons teams. It had, it had clan rats, and it had, a bunch of foot heroes, but it had, roguers, and like it had like a warp engineer and the packmaster guy. But like, man, there's so much more in here. There's so much more detail, and the models are like, I don't know. I'm obviously a huge fan of Island of Blood. I don't know how many sets of those I have. A lot, considering I have, I don't know, like 6 warp fire guys, flamethrower guys. But yeah, I don't know. This is just so cool. Like it's just like the Seraphon in that like it completely exceeded my expectations. That's true. The pricing was listed in the prize information for the contest. Thanks to Ledivicus for pointing that out. I didn't mean to mention that. We don't know the Canadian officially. I think it was 160 pounds. Am I right, Ledivicus? We don't know that that's like properly, like we don't know for sure that that's what it's going to be though. I feel like, having said that, we obviously we think it's going to be 100 or 320 Canadian dollars, and then I think we saw it was going to be like I can't remember what it was in US dollars. The main problem with this launch box is that you need to buy Sigmarines with it. That's not true. Well, you're partially right. So like, but they're different sprues. Like what I'm going to do, Lord Castellan, is I'm buying a box. I'm buying a whole box. And then what I do is with my other friend, Rob, who likes Sigmarines, is I give him Sigmarines and he gives me rats. And then now I've got 2 sets of rats, and I get the terrain, I get the core rule book, and I get all that jazz. By the way, we didn't talk about the terrain. Leaked Australian prices are pretty much always wrong and less than the actual amount. God dang. That's brutal, Keith. Absolutely brutal. Oh, by the way, you also get the Spearhead book in here. You get the GHB cards for those. You get a board, and you get 4 pieces of terrain. Like, shamon. That's insane. That's incredible. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's hard to find a friend in my area that will go. Really? That's wild, because like, I'm not saying I don't believe you, obviously. What I'm just saying is like, because usually Stormcast are so popular, like, and there are like, I would talk to your local store. Like, I don't have that problem at all. Skaven are very popular. So, but like I had, 3 or 4 different friends that were just like, split the box. And I was just like, this little lady's already spoken for, but, there's also terrain and there's $600 Australian. Oof. My God. They might be. I mean, you know what though? Like, you never know. Like, honestly, because like the thing with the 40K side, like, I remember when Indominus came out and people like the Necron players were like, I'll give you $10 for your half. Like that kind of nonsense, which is total BS, because honestly, the Necron half is arguably even better. But putting that aside, right? Like we really saw that a similar thing, Bugman, with Leviathan, because Tyranids are really popular, right? Now, Space Marines are the most popular faction by far, but I still saw some people looking for people to take the Space Marine half away, right? So I could see that being the case here, because the Skaven players are coming out of the woodwork. A lot of people that never played Skaven are getting into Skaven, and Stormcast in every set. And then they also retired a bunch of models, and like, you know what I mean? Like, it is at an all-time low probably for Stormcast, but you'll be able to find someone, I promise you. It might even just, and absolute worst case scenario, I guess, is like, is you use it to build a community out of. Like a lot of people, like our buddy Roman, who's been a friend of the channel, he's been on the channel. He plays Star Wars Legion, and he taught me how to play Star Wars Legion. And he did so because he bought a couple of halves of the starter set, and he plays the robots, and I really like the clones, but he kept the clones so he can teach other people how to play the game. You know what I mean? And that's such a great way of doing it. And so, and because we know you're going to have Spearhead in here, you could probably use it as a great tool to just, teach other people how to play the game, maybe, if you can't find someone. But even, like, let's say you don't have a friend that plays Stormcast, talk to your local store, because a lot, like virtually almost all those stores locally have, like, you could just talk to the people who run the store and just be like, hey, I'm looking for to split. I'm looking to get rid of my Space Marines or Sig Marines or whatever. Stormcast, dang it. Can you, like, if someone else orders them, could you, can you start figuring that stuff out? Most stores will do it. Yeah. Maybe not like a Warhammer store or like a GW store. I'm not sure about that, but I only shop Friendly Local Game anyway. So, yeah. But if I'm splitting two or if a third is in the mix, I had that thing myself. But I think I'm actually sticking with two, because I know I'm going to need all the other things that come out as well. So I've been saving my money for like a year now, feels like. Yeah, that's fair. Horace, there's a big box, $365 Canadian, $489 Australian. Jeez. We'll pray for you in this coming endeavor. But yeah, the Skaven, there's also the accompanying novel, which we always get, which is kind of cool. If you're talking to SCE fans and wanting them to like you, don't use Sigmarines. It's true. And I'm sorry. I'm not doing that on purpose. Someone put it earlier in the chat. Stormcast. SCE. The Golden Boys and their golden toys. All of these things. But never Sigmarines. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. Carson got very quiet there at the end. I think he's feeling somber.
Somber? No.
I'm kidding.
I think usually after the stream goes like 2.5 hours, my brain is just like, it's time to shut down.
It's time to shut down. Bye, Carson.
Yeah, it just walks away.
You hear like the walking out of the door sound, walking out of the room sound effect, and then the door closing. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean,
yeah, there's a ton of stuff. I anticipate the next month is going to be this every week. Basically, just tons of rules. Tons of stuff to chew on. So we've got our work cut out for us. But next week we're actually going to be having some friends of the channel on for Battered Bison.
Yep.
Just because Kenrick and I are going to be going to a tournament in Winnipeg, which the list submission is Friday. So if you still want to sign up, you should do so. The prize pool is absolutely nuts.
It's incredible.
I've seen it. It's it almost seems like there's a box for every person going almost.
Jesus.
It's nuts.
That's wild.
But that's not, a reason why you should go to a tournament, of course. But it's going to be a fun time. We'll be there. We're going to have Beefy Crunch on, who you sometimes see in the chat, and a friend of his too, just to kind of do a list review and some other stuff. And then, of course, we can discuss the rules that would have come up. The
cornucopia of rules probably coming in the next week. Yeah, that's going to be, because we're probably going to have 5 different factions to talk about.
We almost definitely will.
Yeah. Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, plus maybe Monday and Tuesday.
Yep.
So probably. So yeah, we're going to have, I don't want to promise list review just because I don't we'll have to see what's going on at the time, but yeah, we'll have them on. Super excited. And as you said, because we won't see everyone, well, we might not. Putting all that aside, sign up for Battered Bison. It looks absolutely amazing. Yeah. tournament to go
100%.
to for sure.
Also, one other thing.
Please.
This Friday, we're going to be having another live battle report.
Yep.
It's going to be myself versus Kenrick. Kenrick is going to be playing as Stormcast, and then I'm going to be playing the army I always play, Soulblight Gravelords.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Cast-wise, Soulblight Gravelords. Yeah. I don't think you play another army because your Sleeves of Darkness aren't painted, fully painted. But yeah. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for hanging out. We love you all, and we'll see you guys next week.